Cindy's
Good morning. It is 8:30 and we are here for our central services update.
Good morning, everybody. You all listen.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm going to reserve some time at the end for an executive session about personnel matters. But I'll start with some facilities and also this new schedule. I'd like to start with that a little bit. These 15-minute meetings each week, for me, they're going to be kind of become a pain. These are my departments, and I know it's incumbent upon me to ensure that I give you guys the information you're looking for. But this is a little bit difficult. If I'm not communicating well enough, then I need you to tell me. And if you're not getting what you need, help me make sure you get that. I feel a little bit singled out. I don't see 15-minute meetings with landfill, bridge crew, paint crew, or New Hope or Kids Hope. I feel like the only
New Hope is on here.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel
as well as PUDR's Public Works.
Okay. I feel
all of them, assessors, auditors, fairgrounds.
I understand that they're all on there.
Renew, juvenile.
So the fairgrounds with Jim.
Yeah.
When Jim shows up, is he being told to bring staff with him?
Yeah, if he cannot come.
Right, if he cannot come, I totally get that. But
so
that's not what this is. Mine are hard scheduled.
Bring staff. This is the second week in a row we're talking about the same thing we talked about last week.
I'm asking a question.
You're saying the same thing you said last week.
Okay.
Last week you brought in your spiel and you're upset about this. This is for more information. It's nothing against you.
I know.
Kevin
I know.
could come in without you.
I'm
give
not,
a 15-minute
I'm not
brief.
saying it's something against me. I'd like to make the suggestion that at my monthly CS update, that I bring my staff at that time.
We were going to not be doing monthly updates.
All right, well, then I'll make it work.
And that was when we talked about that we weren't going to do monthly updates.
I understand on a piece of paper, it's a 15-minute meeting to you. Okay, it's not a 15-minute meeting to us. It's more than that.
Yes, and the last meetings that we had last week was the most information as far as from facilities and TS that I have had probably in a couple of years. I
wholeheartedly disagree with that, but it would have been nice to have that communication before my staff was scheduled, before even talking to me. And I didn't come in here this morning trying to be adversarial. I was trying to make a suggestion, but
Will you schedule your staff then?
yes, that's okay. I'm going to move on. So I am going to have 15 minutes at the end for an executive session to discuss some personnel matters. And with GCTS, the update for Avedex for the installation of public works is scheduled for March. I will ask Keith to ask the company again to expedite this and let them know the timeline's unacceptable. And in the future, we'll be looking for a new audiovisual company to meet the county's needs because they can't do it in an agreeable timeline. We're keeping an eye on various election integrity bills, ensuring we meet the requirements from the state standpoint. There's a bunch of them out there. We just want to make sure that we're meeting the requirements that are changing almost daily on what we have to do for election integrity, especially where it involves our data centers. And we continue to help out where we can with 365 labs, but some of those issues seem to be ongoing. And Joe is out today with back issues. Ricky is continuing to work out fairgrounds on camera stuff. Evan, Seth, Alex, and Jeremy are continuing to do day-to-day tickets, procurement, quad builds, and they're also helping on some capital projects. We had a massive turnout for the walkthrough at the HRCS building on Thursday. We had 24 signatures on the sign-in. That was amazing to me. Typically, we get 2 or 3 companies show up, not 24. We had a ton of good questions. They spent quite a bit of time there. The architect has already filled out one addendum, but he's gonna, before I send that out, he's gonna make sure that everything, I got some further questions from some other contractors, so he's gonna include those. So later on today, I'll be issuing an addendum so that answers most of the questions. I input the building permit last week. Bill Cox was really quick to get comments back. The architect is addressing those now. We are addressing some issues with flood proofing and that kind of stuff. We met with Bill Cox a couple of months ago when the architect was here on the jail and had a specific discussion about this, but now Bill seems to be asking for stuff that we didn't talk about. We thought we had it figured out, so we're trying to get to the bottom of that. Most of the firms that walked through said it was at least a 4-month remodel, possibly stretching into 5, depending on material availability. I'm hoping that we're going to stick to the 4-month schedule. The bid opening is scheduled for February 19th. So we're hoping to start the first week of March, and if all goes well, we should be able to occupy in July. So this week at 6 p.m., we have the RAB outreach meeting here in the hearing room. And this Thursday,
What day was RAB?
it's Wednesday at 6 p.m. And I'll do another Facebook post to remind everybody. And we'll see how many people show up. Representatives from the city will be here. Representatives from the DOT will be here. Lighted will be here. The engineer for the roundabout will be here. So we'll see what we get for a public turnout. This Thursday at 3 p.m. Do you remember the collaboration meeting, Kevin, that you went to with me a couple weeks back with the PUD? Over there and met and talked about. They're doing another one of those Thursday at 3 p.m. is the collaboration meeting on the jail site with PUD. And then I sent you all a forward from Richard Hanover at the port regarding a formal offer. I'm hoping to hear back this week. If we don't hear back this week, figure out what we're going to do. Maybe just tell them to pack sand and the heck with their development. I feel like they're just kind of blowing us off.
Did he pass on to you another piece of property they were thinking?
No.
Okay.
No, the only communication I've had is the email that I sent to him and the response that I got. So trying to push that.
I expect that he'll be getting more information this week.
Okay. I hope so. So Rob, we're about 2.5 weeks away from headed to DC for the NACO annual conference. Did you want me to go ahead and reach out to Dan Newhouse's office and try and schedule lunch? I mean, we're not going there to meet with them, but we're there and they're there, so there might be some opportunity. I'm also trying to do that with Michael Baumgartner. If we might be able to get them to like do lunch together or something like that. If that sounds good to you, I'll go ahead and do that this week.
Let's try.
Okay, all right. And then food for thought for the board, if we go to this and we do happen to have the opportunity to meet with Dan Newhouse, if there's some questions or anything like that, you'd like us to ask, just think on that and get back to me or get back to Rob. I don't know if we'll even get the chance to meet with them, but you never know. And with that, I'd like to go into an executive session to discuss some personnel issues that we're having.
What time do you want to come out at? You have till 9.
Yeah, I would say at least to discuss it, at least 15 minutes. So let's just call it 8:50.
Okay. We're going to go with the personnel disciplinary or for evaluation?
Evaluation.
Okay. We are going to go into executive session beginning at 8:39, coming out at 8:50 for personnel job applicant evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G.
Your calendar, would it be better if your meetings?
We are now out of executive session.
I think we'll just leave
10
them.
o'clock and 10:30, all of them lumped together?
Well, they're 15-minute meetings, which is fine, but I just wanted to try and clean up our schedule a little bit and maybe just include them, at a different time, at the same time maybe, but because it's 10:15 to 10:30. There's a 10 to 10:15. I don't remember off the top of my head.
10:30 to 10:45
And then
is TS, and 10 to 10:15 is facility. So you've got 10 to 10:45 basically.
Yeah.
Oh, and you've got a 15-minute break in between. So I don't know why there's.
We try to put breaks after 4 meetings. We can remove breaks from the day.
No, I just think if you have Tom sitting here for the schedule, you're kind of bouncing around.
It was more of, it's more a request to at least look at it, see if there's a more efficient way we could do that for our department. I understand what you're trying to do. I'm not fighting, I'm not against it. But the way it's set up is a little bit clunky for us.
So maybe if we could do a break after Public Works or after the sheriff. So does that time frame work for you, or is that not?
Well, we'll make it work because it's the timing of the board that is, the priority. You're here Mondays and Tuesdays, so we have to get it in there at some point. And I get that. So if that's where it's gonna be, then I just wasn't trying to tick you off, Rob.
No, I'm not at all.
Yeah, 45
I
minutes.
saw the benefit of last week in 1 week. So I'm kind of committed to this. I don't really want to mutilate it. If two commissioners want to change it up, then that's the choice of two commissioners. But last week for me was, that was probably the most information I've had in a long time. Like, it would normally take 2 months to get as much as we got last week. And being able to connect the things is something that we never have had, so.
And I wish I'd known that, because I would have
Well,
made
it's
sure.
not all on you either. You gotta remember there was 18 meetings on Monday. Like, just different.
Any questions from the board on anything central services or facilities or TS or HR? Blair's excited this morning?
Blair is here. He's excited. He's in his orientation right now, so
Walk by.
Yep. ready to get started.
He's an excited guy.
And where will he be stationed at?
Undecided,
Okay.
either in up in the commissioner's office, or we'll have him in the conference room, the HR conference room. We have open space there too, with a desk and monitors and then.
One of those two spaces.
Yeah, and then he can work with Larissa on the L&I, because she's been managing that, and start getting that transferred over to him.
I want to give him a safety center.
Well, and I think I
Yes.
agree with Tom that we do have,
Yeah.
I think we might have an empty office. If public records were to move in to Barb's old office, because there was a comment that they didn't want him in our office, or.
Yeah, I
maybe
think
not
that
in
being
the-
able to have a space where people can come in and talk to
Yeah,
him
I
without
think it's
fear
the
of
office, right?
retaliation, for lack of a better word. Not that we would do that, but just having his own space to,
I guess I don't get that. That's risk management, right? It's not HR.
There's some aspects, risk management kind of hits,
Yeah.
like L&I,
Kinda
we
all
will be
encompassing.
working
There's a
very
little
close
bit of,
together. I think all of us will be, but
insurance, which impacts our office. Bob, I'm sure there's some things that
I'm sure.
will be popping in your office.
I got a lot of things I'd love to see him dig into. So
yes, he's very excited about
no issues here.
being here.
Nice to have him on board.
Yay.
All right, I've got nothing else.
All right.
Thank you,
Anything for
Tom.
commissioners? Nothing? We'll go into recess
I'm sure
for
there'll be more.
6 minutes until 9 a.m. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock and we are here with Development Services, but it is the Fire Marshal, Nathan Poplawski, to give the update.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I just got a couple of things that were passed on to me to pass on to you about our permit statistics. So for the current month, you want me to close the door? Door
Yeah, you
closed?
can if it's loud. Trying to tune them out.
So permits for January, they are up. Oh, sorry, just missed you. Permits for January up a couple over the same period last year. Applications in, permits issued are going pretty well. We had 48 permits submitted in January and they issued 36 of those. So that was pretty good for the building side. On the fire marshal side, we had 17 submitted and we've got 5 of those issued. The majority of those are the ATO permits or the short-term rentals that require planning and other stuff to go through. So they take a little more time to push through.
How many did you say you got out?
5. had 17 submitted and five kicked out. The ATOs typically take anywhere from 6 weeks to, it could be several months, depending on if it's a CUP that's required through planning or a regular planning permit.
Do you have help on those?
Do I have help?
Yeah, you, or
Yeah.
do you review each one?
Yeah, no, I've got help.
Okay.
Revenue, January 2025 was 106,627, which is about 14 or 15,000 more than the same month last year. So revenue is up a little bit. It's pretty good. We did, if you want the breakdown, I think you probably got it, but if not, we did 5 manufactured homes, 14 dwellings, 1 alteration, 2 demos to dwellings, 8 accessories, and 2 larger industrial type processing projects, and then 4 mechanical permits for a total valuation of $10.1 million in valuation. So permit statistics looking pretty good. Also have a host compliance integration update. That's our new software that replaces Rentalscape for the transient rental annual permit program. We are still working through that integration, have another meeting this week with the Granicus side. The host compliance side is working on their part and building the API that kind of ties those two together, so that when we get a permit entered into SmartGov, when somebody applies, it updates the host compliance side to show that that is, updating, processing, whatever stage their permit's in for that tracking. And again, that host compliance software is the one that identifies all those sites, transient rental sites. And then a quick update on the Quincy Valley Solar. It's progressing, working through permit fees right now. They are working on the developer's agreement and what the process there is going to be moving forward, along with their decommissioning plan and what that looks like. So it's moving parts, moving forward on that one, and that's what I got.
Are you involved in the solar stuff at all?
A little bit, mostly from the fire access
Yeah.
side. And if there are energy storage systems or those kind of things that come into play, then there's fire marshal permitting for those. This one doesn't have any of those, so it's mostly the access side, working with the fire districts to see what they need for access and roads around the facility.
In the office, what are you, in your position, responsible for?
Fire marshal stuff, anything fire code.
What are kind of just some examples?
Sprinkler systems, fire alarm systems, plan review for some life safety stuff on projects, the solar on residential if it's after the fact. So if somebody puts solar on their house after it's built, that would be mine. Operational permits under the fire code. So things like the transient resident stuff, sprinkler system inspection, verification, and the permitting and stuff that's associated with those.
On that transient rental, have we lost? I was visiting with some transient rental owners, and they just said it was easier to get out of the business instead of, they didn't really make enough. It was more of just kind of a little side hustle that they had, and it wasn't worth the application and to go through everything. So
And
have you noticed that several have kind of dropped off, or they've?
we haven't, because we had tracking software that we had,
Okay.
Rentalscape, we don't have access to because that contract ended at the end of last year. And the new one isn't up and running yet, so we're kind of in a
Okay.
limbo to see where those are at. I'm sure we've lost a couple because people who had just started doing it after April of 2023, or were looking to get into it after that date, don't want to do the expense of the sprinkler system that's required for that. We did provide that, I don't want to say waiver, but that grace for those who were operating before that date to just say, hey, show us the receipt or a business license or something that said they were operating prior to that date, and then they have that exemption for those going forward. So, that personal choice if, people want to
I was just
push forward or
curious.
not.
So those transient rentals, they require sprinkler systems in their homes?
Anything after April, I think it was April 18th of 2023, when that ordinance was passed, to put that into the official requirements. They've been required as long as I can remember, but usually it was done through the conditional use through the land use part as a requirement of that was where that got put in.
We just had a ton
The
of transient rentals that, and it
Yeah,
was more of,
the-
okay, you're still doing it, we'll just kind of grandfather you
Yeah,
in.
the majority of folks, you know, and you know,
Not
either
realizing.
didn't know that they needed to do that, right? Or, you know, or chose not to do it when they did know because, you know, we didn't have a way to track it. We didn't have a way to keep track. We didn't have a way to know who was doing it other than you'd pop up, I don't know, Airbnb or something. And you could see here's a whole bunch of places here, you know, that are doing it. But, you know, you don't know the addresses and you don't know where. That software gave us the ability to basically see exactly where and who and how much and how often and all of those things. So we could track it. And so we're able to, you know, bring the folks into that compliance through the operational permit instead of, you know, just a random like here and there process.
What's the new software called?
Host compliance.
Host?
Yeah, host. And it's part of Granicus, part of that stuff we use for SmartGov and other software in the county. And once it's all up and running and we get the bugs worked out of it, it should be smooth. It looks like,
We're just, everybody's doing new software in accounting.
yeah, it looks like it's gonna be smooth. My hopes are very high that this runs a little better than the last one.
I hope for your sake it does.
Yeah, when did you guys add this software originally? The other one, Rentalscape? That was only like last year, wasn't
It
it?
was, yeah, it was a year ago.
2024, yeah, it was in the 2023.
They had added Rentalscape and then like a few months, well, probably 6 months later, then like George Gorge area came out as like the highest VRBO rental in the nation or whatever. So it was nice to already have the
Yeah,
data.
we had all the-
rather than
we had all the
finding out on
data,
back
yeah.
end.
Yeah, and host compliance was recently purchased by Granicus. So it's a separate software, separate like standalone company under their umbrella. And they didn't have that prior to. It wasn't an option when we were first looking. If it had been, it would have made more sense to just jump right into one that's already working with something that we have, but they weren't there. It wasn't an option at the time, so. Now hopefully it'll be
It was
better.
an eye opener.
Yeah,
Software can always be tricky.
uh-huh. Yeah,
Well, I think just that we had so many, I don't think we realized we had.
Yeah.
That maybe we
There's
had
a-
100 and something,
there's about 450, I think, give or take, at any one
more
time.
than we
Yeah.
realized.
Yeah, and that's just in the county. That's not counting city limits of anywhere. So I know Moses Lake's got a bunch inside the city too.
A lot of unaccounted.
Yeah.
Replaces.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still a bunch of them out there flying under the radar.
Would not surprise me.
That's all I have.
Anything
Thank you.
else? Okay,
Yep, thank you.
much appreciated.
Thanks for
Have a
coming
great
in.
week.
Yeah, you guys too.
We will go into recess until 9:15 when we are back for our commissioner office update. Good morning, it's 9:15 a.m. and we are here for the commissioner's office update.
Hello. So we're gonna skip the new incident claims because as far as I know, we don't have any, but our clerk of the board was out sick last week, so. For review of upcoming public hearings, you do have one next Tuesday. It's a SIP grant budget extension. You guys will see the materials about that here soon. And then we have a franchise public hearing coming up in March. And then we'll just jump into I have stuff for you guys. So I had a meeting with Megan Greger, who is the consultant that we worked with to switch over our consent agenda process into Laserfish and all that, the lean consultant. And I had this meeting with her because when we switched to the 15-minute meetings, as I'm sure you guys have noticed, the agenda is way longer. So the minutes are way longer. So she and I were going over the processes for the agenda and Laserfish and everything. And there's quite a few recommendations on here from her to you guys. But the one that I really want to talk about, and it's why Decorah is here, is that she had pointed out that there is an issue with the commissioners signing documents during the human resources update without posting an agenda ahead of time and without taking public comment. That is a violation of an RCW. It's 42.30.240I, which does say that any meetings where the commissioners take final action has to provide public comment or an opportunity for public comment with an agenda posted ahead of time. And it's not something that we currently do.
Are we
So
able to walk them on
to
consent?
the
agenda?
consent,
Yeah.
you can. It's not super transparent. I did talk to her about options for this. And so she said a quick fix option, like for this week, so that we are compliant with the RCW, is just posting notices like we would for a special meeting, just 24 hours prior to the human resources update, saying that you guys will be, or you may be taking final action at this meeting. And that does make it so we're compliant with the RCW. But she did state that that should only be used as a temporary option because it's not very transparent to the public. It's just not best practice. So, sorry.
Oh, no, because we've had this discussion before, and that's where, because when Kirk brought it to us, because everybody's like the PAR, things that would be posted on our webpage, and there was discussion that it didn't need to be posted, we could take action on our meeting. So I thank you for bringing this to us because we were told that we did not need to put that.
She and I did do some digging just with like OPMA and everything, just to see if there was something about that, and it's pretty flat out that.
So we need to, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So one of her recommendations about this she said that unless there's something that I am missing, that we are missing, as far as she's aware, the commissioners don't actually have to sign the personnel action requests. She said that her recommendation was to rephrase the policies to say that the commissioners have final approval authority. And then you guys, Decorah would then maybe just have something on consent saying personnel action requests to be approved. And then you guys, we would not have to post the PARs online because you are not signing them. You would be approving the request for the PARs. We would not have to save them into Laserfiche. We would not have to keep records of them in our office because you guys are not signing them. You're just approving them. But then along with this, and again, why Decorah is here, there is on consent this week an ordinance to change the commissioners' meeting to 1 p.m. and then having human resources at 2 and Decorah and I talked about this. I talked about it a little bit with Barb about maybe holding that item or just reconsidering it. Because then if human resources can have their update at 1, how it is now, and then have consent at 2, they would have the opportunity to present you guys with these things that you will be approving or denying or whatever you choose during their update, and then have the commissioners meeting right afterwards. Is there anything that I missed?
Nope, I think you covered it. You did great.
So that's the biggest thing from that meeting. There's a couple other recommendations from her, which we can go over after, but I just really wanted to hit on that one first, since that is the big one.
Okay, so can I ask Decorah? So the PARs, so typically we don't sign the PARs unless they're, I think, the department head directly below us. Or maybe there's 2 jobs. We sign very few.
Anything that is out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything, wage increases above the standard rate of the 2.5, or that above step 3, you would need to sign any reclassifications. Those PARs you sign. So we don't have a whole lot that come through, but
No, we've really narrowed it down.
And we went into the personal action request process policy, Megan Greger and I did, and she read through it and she said that if the commissioners want to be signing those, you can, but from her experience, as far as she's aware, you don't have to. And she said that she would email me if she found something that said otherwise, and I have not seen anything, but She reviewed it and said, like, you guys, for sure, if you want to have that final approval authority, she said, by all means, go right ahead. But as far as she knows, and as far as back as she can remember, just working with other governments and counties and everything, you don't have to actually sign the request. And that was, again, that recommendation from her to change it, yes, from final signing authority to final approval authority.
So who, like in other counties, would the HR director sign it, or is that where you would have your, like your board,
Department heads.
not your department head, but
You're
we
talking
don't
about,
have a county administrator. So typically, I think like in Chelan County, the county administrator works with HR to do that. So that would be a component that the county administrator would be doing.
yes, and she said that if you wrote this policy to make it just a very sweeping final final approval authority instead of final signing authority, things like contracts, the commissioners would not need to sign anymore. The PARs, commissioners would not need to sign anymore. It would then be deferred to either the department head, so like organizational services or Tom or something like that, or the elected official. So like the emergency management contracts, the commissioners would then not have to sign it. It would just go to like Joey, who would sign it. Sorry, Sheriff Creed. And so you guys would still review it and you would still approve it, but you would not have to sign it. We would no longer keep those records in our office. It would just be it would be the responsibility of the department or elected official's office that then signed it.
And how would we track the approval?
We would have the consent requests showing that it was approved.
And I think the first year would probably be okay. And then sometimes people just start signing themselves or department. It's just easy to you have a contract to sign it instead of getting approval. So I think that's why we've tried to channel everything, because we are the fiduciary responsibility of the county. So if somebody signs a contract, we had an elected official that signed like $450,000 contract, no legal review. And that's kind of where we decided we need everything to come through the board, because when they're signing contracts that binds the county and the board isn't even aware of it, we have some issues. So kind of where we were taking a kind of a pretty hard stance on that, to have everything come through here.
And I think that's why the board, I wasn't in my role or in HR, but that's what I've been told, is that historically that has happened and things, that's why PARs come to you to sign. But as long as there's some tracking, like the form, I'm good with whatever you choose to do. My concern, which I expressed, was the time. I will be walking down the hall and somebody will hand me a PAR that they just finished and say, and we've talked about, but I just now have it. That's gonna have to wait another week, up to 2 weeks, rather than me just walking in the door saying, we've talked about this, all is good. PMRT presented it to the board. It's just the signature on it. So just working out that timeline, and I think
Okay,
that
so if we take
people will have
action,
hardship.
if we can take action on it, but not sign it, then it doesn't have to go through
Right.
consent. It would just be,
So if you're
Right.
taking action though, you would still need to do some form of like an agenda, which for this
but
week's,
HR does have an agenda.
we don't post the agenda ahead of
Okay.
time. I was gonna say, for this week's agenda, for HR's update, Decorah did send me a list of the things that you guys typically talk about. So I put that on under her meeting, so there is an agenda. But you would need to open up some form of time for public comment.
And it would probably be easier, then we'd have to switch the calendar around if we did 5 minutes of public comment.
I'd love to hear what the public has to say. Be great.
We're not rearranging the calendar, but,
Yeah,
and I bet that there would be very, very, very little public comment on that, but at least it gives the public opportunity to
Yeah.
comment specifically.
So is that a yes to moving, to signing the ordinance, or is that a today? So that's the one that we talked about would change
Well, that's just my thoughts on
2
it.
PM to 1.
Well, so if we're, the
Unless we're doing it.
The
that way.
concern with swapping the commissioners meeting in HR was just if HR had stuff on consent, you would not talk to HR until after the consent.
But if we
Then it would
left
be
it how it
another
is and left it, I mean, I would,
If you open up public comment during human resources update, she will not need to put stuff on the consent agenda.
We
You
can
can
do
just
it
sign
there.
it during her update.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like
So
that's
there's,
what
that-
she said to do.
Yes, but we're asking, sorry, Barb was asking now about swapping the meetings.
1 to 2, so we.
So then we
we'll
got-
Just
So the time's different.
withdraw that ordinance.
Or do you want to keep it on there and?
well, I would like to keep HR stuff kind of out of our consent agenda. I feel like there is a little bit of protection for our employees. Not that we're hiding anything, but sometimes I just wouldn't want to be the employee that all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I don't know, I just think keeping it in the HR silo, the 2:00 meeting, having a public comment and then addressing it then would just, I would just like to keep it there. It's just me. I know Decorah has been doing the minutes and,
I'm good with whatever the board would like.
and some of our meetings are just kind of really the generic, what Caitlin put in.
Yeah, just
Or
the
your
standard
thoughts?
things. But this week we will need a special meeting because I have labor agreements that need signed.
I'll post stuff today.
And that would be an opportunity to have a 5-minute, if we did a 5-minute open. Well, we can do the walk-on. Can we we need to do the agreements and on a walk-on today, or do they need to be signed?
They would be, typically I would bring them to you to be signed during my meeting, my regular meeting tomorrow. I could present them through as a walk-on.
Oh, but it'll still, because we haven't changed it. You're still on.
Yeah, I didn't even know that it was
Okay.
up to change until
Okay, so
Friday when
it's-
Caitlin
tomorrow
and I
will be
talked.
fine. Tomorrow will be fine. We're still good if we change it.
Okay, so I will add for future meetings then, I'll put it on the site and everything. We'll add a little,
Well, that was just
Bit-
me. I haven't heard from the other commissioners, so.
well, I think Robin nodded about adding public comment.
Yeah, I think we're,
Okay.
I think we're good with that.
So I can add public comment portion then to the human resources updates and we'll advertise that so public knows. Okay. I guess the only other big recommendation that came from Megan that I'll just touch on, you guys can read the rest, I put them on there. The big recommendation was that we don't proceed with the Laserfish consent process until we are 100% locked in with this schedule. There's a few different changes that can be made later on, but if we were to, I know Rob and I think I'd heard that at the end of February, we would review how this went, that sort of thing. If you were wanting to change anything when it comes to the meeting schedule. But she had said that if we make any big changes after we launch this Laserfish consent process, any big changes, we would have to pay CDI again. So that was just her big recommendation, was waiting until we're solid on the schedule. It is 9:30, so I've given you guys the minutes from the tourism committee meeting. Just a nice reminder on the calendar today at 11:30, we have a meeting with the tourism chair and the vice chair and the marketing manager and legal because they want to discuss the Columbia Basin Publishing contract. That's that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Accounting.
You guys done?
Aren't we? Are we 9:15 to 9:30?
45.
9:45.
Whoa, I just saw her sitting out there, and so I thought that it was time. Okay, well, I guess I can talk to you. You're good. If you want to flee, I guess I can talk to you then about tourism. So sorry.
I got a question about the very last one, recovery cleanup.
Whoever's waiting, they can come in.
Wednesday.
Yes, I think it's Mandy. I saw her outside, and so I just got it in my brain that she was at 9:30.
9:45, okay.
Okay, well, there you go. The Ephrata landfill
And recovery cleanup costs
on consent this week.
just on Wednesdays.
Oh, it was on the calendar, it was you and I think Andy Booth that were
I think
listed
they'll
together.
educate you on our cleanup, what's going on.
When you double click the calendar appointment, the information should be inside there by schedule.
Okay.
Should
But if that's the case, I need to make a phone call.
I don't see any information in there, Barb.
And honestly, I'm not sure why it's not.
I'll figure it out.
Well, so then I guess we can just do tourism real quick. They had their meeting last week. It was a long one. Sean and Pam did draft some proposed policies and procedures. There was a lot of discussion about them. So I attached the draft that Sean sent over to the very back of the tourism minutes. And then in the actual minutes, I have the drafted policies and procedures as they were adopted to recommend. There were a couple of things that they wanted to talk about, or they wanted, I guess, me to find out for them. One was, and I ran it past Rob real quick because I saw him, but they were wanting to have some sort of policy where Grant County businesses are given special consideration for proposed contracts, and wherein it is available, at least one Grant County business is included and presented comparables. They wanted to know if that was legal. And from my brief conversation with Rob, no. But figured I'd just freeze it in here also, so.
Well, we've just talked about, because Public Works, some of the contracts are huge, or even the jail. And it'd be cool if we use Grant County businesses, but we're not able to give preferential to any business.
Since it would be contracts entered on behalf of Grant County.
Well, the state does it. The state requires their funding to be spent on, like the ferries. They want the ferries purchased in Washington State. Ferries in Canada is about half of the cost of a Washington State ferry. But they make
We
that
could
recommendation.
look at, I would love to look at it. If we had our way, we would use all Grant County business because it keeps all of the money in our own county. But I thought when we looked at trying to do that, we weren't able to in the bid processes.
That would
That's
probably be
been like 3 years.
as well. Cindy looks at that. I'll bring up the other thing they wanted me to ask about. When Sean was here a couple weeks ago to talk to the commissioners about the contract review process, it had been mentioned about only contracting with people that have a Washington State business license. And that did cause a lot of discussion at that meeting. Cooley Creative hires freelancers. They give her their social security number and she gives them a 1099 at the end of the year. So it's all filed accordingly, but people like influencers, I guess videographers, photographers, a lot of times do not have a business license because they're freelancers. So they're wanting to know if.
Yeah, it's like you can have a sole prop license for like $15. And if you were doing, okay, so like our video one, how much was that? 30,000, 40,000?
I think 30.
So if you did 6 of those in a year, right? That's not that much time. You can do it in 6 weeks, maybe edit 12 weeks. You would have a business license, right? Because you made
I think we have to have.
300,000. Like you,
We legally have to have people with licenses,
Yeah.
otherwise we can't do business with them. That's not gonna work.
and ideally they would have insurance. I could see a photographer not having insurance because they're just taking pictures. They're not necessarily representing.
Well, you don't have to get a business, nobody
You're out
can use
taking
your
pictures of a house or property,
sole
so
proprietor.
they trip and fall and break
Yeah.
their ankle. Who
Are
do they
they-
come after?
Yeah, are they gonna blame it on you for being at that location taking the photo?
Exactly. The 1% rule.
I will pass that along. They,
We can ask our risk coordinator.
Yeah, you think, there's a sole proprietorship license that they can get, so they just use their social security number. It takes, I don't know, less than 30 minutes to get a business license.
Yeah, I get the 1099 thing too, it's just, I don't think the county should operate that way.
and the county doesn't, when it comes to like the influencers and stuff, we just reimburse Rochelle for that. So she'll pay them and then the county reimburses her.
Yeah, so they're
They probably need a business license, otherwise, I think Rochelle's the one that's gonna be,
Yeah, they'd be operating under Michelle at that point.
or does it come back to us? It may come back to us if we don't.
She's providing them with a 1099, it falls under her.
Okay.
But they're actually physically going out to do work for the county. That's good.
Is she paying them or is Grant County paying them?
I guess it would be Grant County, well, she would pay them and then we just reimburse her for the cost. She just invoices
She
us.
would be the liable party.
Okay, no, businesses that want to, can a business sell without having a business license? No, businesses that want to sell goods or services to the government must register and obtain a UEI, a unique identification number. And also need a federal license or permit depending on the activities they perform. So I would say that at least a business license would be needed.
I mean, I get what she's doing, but, you know, it's still someone makes us liable.
But it says, businesses that do not require licenses such as freelance writing, web design, crafting, and hobby breeding.
So I think it'd be a good idea to ask legal whether that's something we can do or allow.
If we have time while they're here, maybe we can touch on that, but then the other, Rochelle brought comparables for the social media manager that they reviewed. They're wanting to look, they want just more information from one of them before they present a recommendation to the board. They just felt that the two that Rochelle brought, there was one that had a resume or additional information about professional history, and they were wanting that from a second one before they presented them to the commissioners. But the one that they wanted to reach out to is called West Wind. And then the app is almost complete. I guess it's almost ready to launch. She said data entry is completed. It's just fine tuning details. They're hoping to have the app launched within the next 2 to 4 weeks. And then the ads that they'll be putting out, I know, Kevin, you were talking about this for the magazine. The ads that they're going to be putting out will have a QR code for the app so they can track traffic, basically.
That's good.
And then she did say that she would be able to bring, and then the words just left my brain. Reports, quarterly reports for ad traffic.
That'd be nice.
So whenever we hit the end of first quarter, she'll send those over and I can forward them on to the commissioners.
I do have a couple things. Are you done with tourism?
Yes.
Okay. A couple things from me here. You have 2 employees out sick today. Mike and Tony are out now. I hope I didn't share with them. On my desk this morning, the VVA representative brought the keys to the Wheeler building, so we do have those keys back. I don't know the status of anything else on there. Your new employee is here today. Do you know where you want them to be? Is it supposed to be Kirk's office? Is it supposed to be Rob's office? I have TS looking at one of the laptops that we had in our office, so they're getting that set up. We just are not sure where we're housing him. I don't know if you guys have decided.
I don't think we even really talked
Yeah,
about
is
it.
Kirk using his office?
You guys are his.
No, I meet with Kirk at 10:15 with the quorum.
Perfect. So you can direct that on there, so.
But I believe his office is open unless the risk coordinator position goes in the hearing room or the meeting room.
But your problem, get that.
I'll find out and bring it back.
Okay, and then just real quick, your expectation of me, are you wanting, I'm still doing the lead for the office. Do you now want me to, since Kirk has been gone, I've been signing vouchers, signing leave slips. Is that something that you want me to continue to do? I just need to know what your expectation is of me, since there's a supervisor. I didn't know who is going to be that person now. What would you would like?
We talked about.
Yeah, we really, I don't know that we've
I
even
think
had
we'll-
a chance. We can do that today, maybe.
Yeah, I think
during our
we need to
roundtable.
figure out what's going on with Kirk before we make any plans.
Stay healthy.
I appreciate that. And I just need to know what your expectation is of me.
That's one.
I appreciate that. I do not want to share this. That was it for me. I'll give you 2 minutes back. Caitlin, thank you so much for holding down the fort.
We will go in recess for 1 minute.
That's not even a pleasant thought to look.
And I have to figure out what I want to ask.
Good morning, it's 9:46 a.m. and we are here for our accounting update.
Sir,
Hello.
hello. So I was wrong about my schedule. Last week, I thought I had Tyler this week, but I actually had Tyler last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so that pretty much ate up my whole week working on that. But we made a lot of progress with the chart of accounts and getting that update. John also worked a little bit with Tom and got some samples to get the contracts modules set up. And we did a training with some key people on the grants module. That was like our sneak peek into the grants module. So we didn't do a lot of setting up. It was mostly just exploratory to show some of the people like from Renew, New Hope, or those key players that have a lot of grants that will be using that project module a lot. So I feel it was a pretty successful week all in all with Tyler. This week is pretty open for me. I don't have a lot. We just have our status updates and I have some NACO stuff to catch up on. But follow up on a few items. Mutual of Omaha, I put a request to the state auditor's office about the question to whether or not we could write off that money or, what our options were. They basically deferred us to seek our own legal opinion, that they wouldn't give any kind of advice on that whatsoever. And so I talked to Rachel and Kevin, and we agreed to do an MRSC question, put that out to them, and I did so. I just have not yet heard back from them. So
On your NACO, and not your cell phone, but your iPad and your computer, you can speed up the conversation because some of the people that talk on the videos that you're watching that talk very slow, You can speed it up, go like 1.5, 2 times faster, and then you can get through the videos a little faster and still catch everything.
On the iPhone or on
Well, I
what?
can't figure it out on the iPhone, but I can do the iPad and the computer, you just speed up the video.
Oh, really?
And
Nice.
it's a lot easier to follow along when you're, well, some of them are very slow because they talk really slow. And you can catch up a minute or two faster.
That's a good pro tip. I'll have to keep
That's
that
what
in
we're talking
mind.
about the NACO training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are very slow when they talk. It's like, I gotta get through this hour lesson
Yeah.
within
It's
the hour.
pretty dry.
They do it in the hour, but. Good. Okay, and then Mandy?
What?
The module, we moved to lesson 2, so you have to go into the left-hand side and click if you haven't finished lesson 1, because now we're on series 2. It's on the left-hand side.
Oh, really?
Go back to your,
Oh, yeah. To look back at.
so I got a little tip for you that I am always getting tips from you, but.
No, those are very super helpful. Yeah, I'll be in there a lot this week. Still haven't sussed out the grants admin. We found an error with the ARPA transfers, which actually overinflated. Wait, no. We duplicated an ARPA transfer because the request came from Carrie and then the request came from the department also. And so we didn't realize that they were two. So that puts a little bit more money back into the ARPA fund. Doesn't change any of your obligations. It's just letting you know about where the fund is sitting at the moment. And so what I also provided to you is Daryl's cash sheet. And this is at the end of January where we stand cash on hand on all the funds. I only included Grant County specific, so it's cut off in 560. Put some queries on the back. And I didn't include all the revenue. I wanted to condense it as much as possible, so I just did the net change. So current expense is down significantly. Lot of expenses, and we obviously our bulk revenues won't hit until April when we start to get large property tax income in. So pretty normal, I think. And then jail construction bond looks like it had a lot of activity in it. I'm wondering if that's carryover for the debt service payment though. So the check has been processed for the risk pool, the county's risk pool insurance premium, $5 million to be, they'll probably get it within a couple days, just across the street. So I don't think it'll take that long. However, when I reconciled with our budget, in 503, the budget is close. It's short 150,000, but it's about 5.6 million, 5.5 million, and the payment's 5.8 million. But I can't find everywhere where we budgeted and we increased it 19%, it does not total 5 million. And I'm not sure, I've been working to get that fixed. I had the insurance people the accountant over there at Clear Risk Solutions send me a breakdown by exposure to see if that would help me find what departments owe what really. And I found the worksheet and I think I am capturing all the funds that would be required to pay an insurance premium. I'm just not sure why there's such a discrepancy in what we budgeted to what the actual payment should be.
Last year, I don't know if it got corrected. The county paid the gap, not so much the different departments, other than Renew and Public Works should have paid their portion, but because the budget was already done, when we found out we had a huge increase, I don't.
This year we knew what the insurance
Yeah,
amount
but
was
did we
before
go back
budget.
and correct it last year? Would last year's been an error? Would not have been.
It wouldn't impact this, no.
What was the amount that you budgeted for this year?
Well, we budgeted in 503 about 5.65 million. We're only like $150,000 short on the 503 fund in total. But when I went to add up all the little funds, all the little departments that had insurance premium associated with it, we were increasing it 19% on each time, but there was no reconciliation done at that point to, is this the true amount?
But I think you're using, did you correct it in 2024's rate? Because 2025, because like I'm saying, we didn't go in and correct it. So you could be basing it off what we thought it was going to be, and it was a bigger increase. I don't think we went in 2024 and corrected what the correct 2024 balance was.
So not 19%, we should have done the increase on top of 2024's and 2025's?
But I don't know if we had a different accounting team, if they went in and corrected it, because we didn't, it was such a bigger increase than what we were anticipating. So instead of going back through and adjusting everybody's budget, we just took it out of like miscellaneous, general, something. I don't know what Katie took it out of.
Well, so far from what I can see in the calculations that they did last year, the amounts that I increased 19% are the amounts from last year.
They're the corrected amount, because we increased it and then we had another increase that should have happened. So they should have actually had 2 increases. I believe there was only 1 increase made. And then Katie was going to go back. We didn't have time to change everybody's budget.
So if that's the case, maybe, but I mean, we're 2 million under.
That would probably be that difference. What we thought it was gonna increase, was it 16%? Rob was here, 16%, and then it ended up going a lot higher than that.
Yeah, but I don't know what that has to do with 2025 budget.
It wasn't added. In 2024,
But
we
we
added
knew
this
the amount that should have been
But did they
divided
go back?
amongst them all. I don't know, I'm not in accounting.
I believe, but I'm just trying to find a path to this. I believe it didn't get added on.
She's saying, because when we
No, I know what
added
she's saying.
19%.
I
The
just,
numbers that you
there's no
started
double
with.
check there if it wasn't looked at.
I don't know if you could
25
reach out to
budget.
Katie and ask, but that's, to me, that feels like the difference that we had to come up with, the shortfall that we had.
Yeah, I'm still.
I just don't, we don't understand what they do up in county. We just kind of get the
Yeah.
numbers. So if they did not go back in and.
I found the worksheet that they were using, and I'm assuming it was Katie, because everyone I've talked to was like, no, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. So, and then I have the exposure report that I haven't had a chance to look at yet, but that should help me isolate what departments owe what, and try to figure out where the discrepancy is.
So, yeah, because it was last minute, we didn't go through and adjust everybody's budget. We just
But
took that difference, paid it like miscellaneous general government, and it may not have gotten added into everybody's budget at a later date. It sounds like
yeah, which will
Which is-
probably,
it fell off the table.
it'll probably be current expense picking up the slack again.
Well, I would request that renew, if you can figure out what renew's increase would be, and then public works, because I don't feel that current expense should be funding their portion of it.
Gotcha. I will make sure.
But that's just me, I don't know.
I guess I struggle on the error in itself. Is a $2 million off isn't necessarily small. I get like you had 23's the year 23 that you did the budget for 24. So you just only put 19% increase on that budget line for each one, or do you recalculate based off of the 5.8 million?
I didn't recalculate off the 5.8 million. We were just adding 19%. I didn't even know we had an invoice at the time.
So then, if that's the case, then what Cindy's saying is what happened. Is that we had a lot of extra money in current expense in the 23 budget. So we, instead of putting all of that on, because the big increase, putting it on all the departments, we did pay it out of current expense in 2023. And then the 24 budget had the lower amount.
It should have been corrected, and I believe the intention was to go in and correct and add those, but it just, time was of the essence when we were trying to balance our budget.
Gotcha.
It was easier to just take it out of like miscellaneous general government, insurance, and then pay it instead of adjust everybody's line item. But they were supposed to correct it, take it out of public works and renew, and all the others, the current expense paid that. I just assumed it got added, but
I think
next year I'll know to ask, make sure we take the whole amount and divide it accordingly.
previously Jerry was very involved in that calculation as well, and with him leaving as part of the drop.
But I think there's been a lot of transition.
Yeah. So I'll get back to you on that one. And then, yeah, I don't really have much else. That's
What was the exact amount of the public funds gifting amount question?
It's about 10,500,
Oh,
about.
Public funds gifting,
Mutual of Omaha, if we write that debt off instead of collecting it from the employees because
Oh.
they receive the volunteer benefits.
and that,
Because it's not mandatory, it's elected on an individual basis.
I have a question on equipment rentals.
Mm-hmm.
What are we spending $529,000 in equipment rentals on?
Equipment rental?
Yeah.
So that is actually, we have a centralized in Public Works. They own all the assets and they rent it out to all the departments that use it. Probably any biggest users, probably solid waste. Sheriff's Department are a big user. Their vehicles, they get a rental charge.
Oh,
So it's an internal
that makes
expense.
more sense.
how they pay the dues.
I thought maybe you're renting vehicles or equipment or we're spending all kind of money. It's like, that makes more sense.
Anything else from Mandy? We're ready for our next
thank you,
meeting.
Mandy, and if you need help on that insurance, just call me and I'll pop up there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Mandy. It is 10:01 a.m. and we are now moving into juvenile court youth services update. You're sparkling.
So you're bedazzling.
Oh.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot, but those are, I did a summary of all the juvenile bills that I'm looking into it. This session is a lot of bills for us. But I think before I start with that, I just wanted to let you guys know that we did have an incident during this weekend. That transportation for Shalem was not able to be as quick as we wanted because they closed the road for the accident that happened by Rock Island. So they have to go all the way around. It was a Quincy kid that needed to be picked up. So I think they went around and met at Waterville.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's kind of a free.
I mean, they didn't
accident.
have anything, like, we didn't know when they were gonna open back again for them to go get the kids. So I think between the two of them worked really good to meet in Waterville to get the kid.
How come could they not go through the Palisades?
That's what they did.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like they went clear up to Waterville,
Well, Waterville, that is the,
right up north.
And
but that's the way to go through the Palisades.
that's what I thought, but I'm not sure.
How else do you get?
I don't know how Palisades Road is right now though either.
Well, it's probably rough, but I mean, you can go through.
Douglas Creek.
How long did it take? I
It-
wonder if they're waiting for the accident.
It was
don't know.
probably another hour for them to go around, but that was like the only way that they can meet in the middle to pick up the kid, I guess, because
It's a drive.
it's a drive, but they were able to, they called me up.
Especially, yeah, because you've got to go up like to Waterville and then all the way around.
Mhm.
Cool City.
Yeah, so I don't think you guys are gonna hear anything from Quincy since, like I say, this was something that was out of our control. They closed the pass for them to go, but they were able to meet in Waterville. So yeah, so you guys are aware of that. And then, so that's it for us
It's a
to,
roundabout
it
drive.
is. But it's unfortunately that we had 2 accidents this weekend. I was like, is it the same one? Yesterday was another accident that happened on Sunday. So I was like, oh, wow. So it's been,
Yeah, there was a fatality, at least
Yes.
one, there may have been 2, but, so they would have closed the road for a minimum.
yeah, they closed it twice on Saturday and then Sunday too. But Saturday we didn't have an intake. So it was mainly Sunday that we did have that. And
At least it was their own kid.
yes, it
'Cause
was from
usually they
Quincy.
take them to Quincy.
Yes.
So that probably would have created an issue. if it
And
was
then
another
also
town.
just in Quincy, they do have holding cells. I know that they don't like to put the juveniles in there just in case they have also adults. But that was another option. But since we didn't know when they were gonna reopen the road, they decided to just meet in Waterville. So that was good. So, okay, going back to the juveniles, bills of interest, there's a lot of bills this time that they're introducing. I'm just gonna go real quick, and some of them I'm not gonna even mention. The ones that I'm mentioning right now are the ones that we're paying a close look at it. And I know as we have our association to WASHCA, the Washington Core Administrators, so we're all like get together and say, hey, this is the one that is affecting us. So we cannot take a position as WASHCA as well. So if you guys see any other bill that you guys think that, I should be paying close attention, please let me know. But these are the ones that we have currently. So the House Bill 1322, and this one is basically placing the kids in the community instead of jail sentencing. I know that you guys probably know the outtake that they're doing is mainly instead of punishment, they want to rehabilitate the kids, and then also because they have high demand of kids going to the institution, they're trying to place a lot of those kids kind of like having disposition alternatives, and having, even though I'm talking about the expanding the in-home monitor, that will come from JR, not from our side, but because it's their sentencing, but they're trying to do a lot of staying in the community for them, or at least this is the bill that they're introducing, maybe to reduce the kids that go to the institution.
Is that because the institutions are overfilling?
I
You
think
think
so.
more so than
Yes,
trying
yes.
to rehabilitate them?
I mean, it seems that way to me. And like I say, since they're, even they just open up some more housing for them, it seems like they were just 40 beds. So it's not gonna do a whole lot as to, the crowd that they have, overcrowded that they have. But yeah, they wanna put kids into, home monitors, expanding option B. So that's basically having the kids in the community and for us supervising them. Expanding also the chemical dependence and disposition alternative, meaning the kid will stay in the community and they will do a lot of like extensive, if they have any drug or alcohol problems, go get the services they need, and then, come to court every 3 months to do an update as to how the kids is doing. But basically, they want to keep them in the community instead of incarcerating them. That's one of the bills. Another one that we're paying close attention is House Bill 5603, juvenile access to attorneys when contacted by law enforcement. It's probably been like 2 or 3 years that they changed that anytime that a juvenile is arrested, now they have access to counsel. They call an attorney. So the police officer, law enforcement are thinking that they're not able to investigate properly. So because they cannot communicate with the kid or ask them any questions unless they have probable cause to arrest. So that's what they're creating that bill. So they have, I guess, better grounding for the law enforcement to do their job. House Bill 1248, improving the effectiveness of juvenile justice programs. by providing ongoing evaluations and clarifying juvenile diversion practices. So this one also is basically changing the way that the prosecutor will be giving the charges to the juveniles and having more diversions. Um, since we have infinity diversions, they give them the time to actually get diversions and, have the diversion agreement more than 6 months, after 6 months, reevaluate and continue to do so. House Bill 1246 concerning juvenile justice. This one is the opposite of the one that I just told you. This removes the unlimited diversions. As I was telling you, right now, we have unlimited diversions. In our county, I think we don't see a lot of third diversions plus, but right now, it's like the prosecutor has the option to give them diversions in pretty much everything. And this one, I know I did put here Mixville, very unlikely to pass, because I think how we're seeing the shift is like they want to take those diversions or give them more ability to give diversions instead of charges. House Bill 1391, improving developmentally appropriate alternatives for youth outside the formal court process. And then in this bill, they want to actually remove diversions from the criminal history. So that means that we will not even have access to put them in the system to make sure we know how many diversions they have. So, I see it as maybe positive, negative, but since, like I said, the prosecutor will not have that ability to see how many diversions this kid has unless they communicate with us, it might be really hard for them to do it. House Bill, this 5617 is a change bill. What's happening right now, this is basically for detention release. And I know that you guys have, or I have told you guys as to the problem that we have with DCYF not picking up the kids when the kid is released from detention. What they're asking on this bill is basically do a child in need of services. So if there is nobody to pick up the kid, they want us to do a shame for them in their behalf and say, like, since nobody's here to pick up the kid, maybe that might be this is the only way that we can get DCYF involved. But if this happened like on the weekend, that's not gonna, do anything in favor for us unless it's during the week. It's not gonna be resolving any issues for immediate release from detention. But at least we will get DCYF involved, since anything that has to be with the chance or at-risk youth starts with us, but involves DCYF. So they want back again DCYF, be responsible for those type of scenarios. But like I say, during the weekend, that will not do anything for us as to DCYF not picking up the kids. 1247 concerning placement of individuals in juvenile rehabilitation institution. So as to right now, how they have it, they can stay in a JR facility until they're 25. But now they're thinking that if they're 18 years old, they have to be sent to DOC now, Department of Correction. So again, it's back again to the crowding situation that they don't want to be dealing with juveniles anymore, even though they say until 25. I think that's another way to alleviate some of the crowding for them. 1509 concerning family reconciliation services. DCYF, when they do any type of like at-risk youth or child in need of services, DCYF always gets involved first. And they also provide services to the families. Kind of like if we are do at-risk youth, they do a functional family therapy for the whole family because they know it's just not the juvenile. And now they're trying to remove the shall to subject to availability of funding. So that probably will reduce significant amount of, I guess, things in place that the families can do, because these kids, like I said, the kids that they do the family reconciliation services are the kids that are not in the system yet. So they're reducing the funding for the family to tap in to those services. 1053 concerning juvenile access to attorney. Like I was telling you guys, now some of the law enforcement think that they can only do is arrest instead of investigate because they cannot talk to the kids. So it limits the matter for them to know all the pertaining information just in case it's a safety concern that, so they just separate and incarcerate the kid. That's what they're doing right now. 1092, maintaining the safety of the children. And this is basically now for DCYF, or they're trying to introduce that the petitions can now include a presumption of the removal if necessary when the parents are actually consuming any type of drugs or alcohol. Before, they weren't able to do that, but if this bill passed, now they can actually put that in the original petition as to, it's a presumption of the removal, but it might be necessary as a legal guardian. It's doing any type of drugs for failure to protect the kid. Another one is 1111 concerning the Indeterminate Sentence Review Board. This is known as the Youth Hope Act, and it's basically saying that people that were convicted before the 18th birthday can actually go back and review their points, even though some kids, depends of the charge, can be charged as an adult, but they were juveniles. So this is basically saying that, they can reconsider, so they can have less of history when they're charged as an adult.
So I have to stop you because I have to go meet with Kirk.
Yes.
You can finish this if
Continue.
the commissioners want to, but your time is up, so it is up to you. But we do have
Sorry.
15 minutes in open, but I do have to step out.
Okay.
So could we get together on Wednesday and go over some of these so I know which ones are most concerning to you?
Yeah. I did
When you're
ask,
done, just hit those.
thank you. And then, like I say, this is for you guys to keep so you guys can read it. But I was just gonna say, I did ask Barb to check on your calendar to see if you have it. Or you mean everybody here as, for you guys to meet?
I don't think it's necessary. I'm on that
It's probably
legislative
just-
steering
yeah.
committee, so.
Okay.
So we don't have to advertise you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can just maybe go over these bills
Okay,
that
yeah.
are concerning to you.
Just let me know when you have, the time in your schedule, and then we
Or you
can,
want to do the next, you're actually done
Yeah.
on this meeting. If you want, I can just step out and then you can do the next, I don't know how long it's going to take, 15 minutes, and then
Yeah,
you don't
we
have to
can just-
advertise that meeting.
Yeah, we can just go over them and you can tell me which ones are, that are more important.
Let me
okay.
just do that, then we don't have to advertise for a meeting, you don't have to take another, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay, totally okay with that. Yeah.
And then stop the-
Yeah. So then we are in recess until 10:30.
Okay, we're going
Meeting
off.
With Renew.
We're going off.
Cindy, before you come upstairs, could you bring up that receipt check request that I had dropped off earlier? Accounting just needs it back.
Oh, this right here? Yes,
Yes, please.
I will.
Oh, I think, wait, it was not in a folder. It was just I think Kevin has it.
Kevin, do you have it? Is it the reimbursement claim?
No, it was, I guess I do need that too, but no, it was just an emergency check request from accounting.
Kevin, do you know what she's talking about?
I think it's right here.
Okay, he knows. Okay, I'll be right up.
Thank
Kayla,
you.
Shaky. I don't know why our,
Your mic was going crazy.
Weird. I'm so sorry.
yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Oh, except for Rob forgot to sign this one.
It just takes two. Sorry.
That's good. All right.
Okay, Caitlin.
We ready?
We are ready.
Awesome. So this morning I just had a couple of topics to talk about. The first was opioid abatement council. And just to give Commissioner Burgess some history on what this council is. This is a council that is a gathering of the 4 counties. So that's Okanagan, Chelan, Douglas, and Grant counties. And each county or city representative that received opioid abatement funds. These are funds that went to the counties and cities that had a large enough population that received funds from the pharmaceutical settlements through opioid, the opioid use pandemic as well, and or epidemic. Through that, each of these areas received these funds. A panel was created so there would be representatives and voting members representing each of the areas on this panel. And so I represent Grant County as a voting member of the Opioid Abatement Council.
Gotcha.
The funding is interesting because we all receive our funding independently as a county. Then we turn that funding into Chelan, who is the fiscal agent for this project. And then Chelan writes a check with all of the funds together, sending that to Carillon Behavioral Health, which is our region's administrative service organization. And they're going to run all the metrics for all the projects that will be submitted for proposals and things like that. So they'll kind of be that governing body of the funds, ensuring that all the funds are utilized within the county or city it was assigned to. So there's not, we're not using funds across county lines or that kind of situation. But it was interesting process to move through Chelan County being a fiscal agent for the project. But the only purpose in that was just to have a way to submit the funds to Carillon. The Grant County currently, we're at a standstill for doing a request for proposal to the public because we need to make a decision if we are going to combine our the RFP process with the city of Moses Lake. And that will need to come through a consent meeting to have your signature on. I think there's some pros and cons to that as well. Some of the pros being that we can align the work as well across Grant County, but Moses Lake being a central population area as well, that's a good thing. A con though would be that for Carillon's purposes, they have to wait till the proposals are out, that we've identified people to do projects, and they have to wait for the city and us to come to the contractual agreements. So it does create some delays there. I'm not seeing any major issue with doing that. Combining the resources to impact both areas. But I also know there are some political challenges between Grant County and the city of Moses Lake that may impact the commissioner's decision to want to do a combined RFP with the city of Moses Lake. So these funds though, Commissioner Burgess, they last for about 17 years. We received an initial amount and that's what we contracted for 5 years, but we've also received more since the original contract. So in June, we'll be able to amend our contract we have with Carillon to add all the additional funds into that so that we can get the proposal then again out to the community to apply for projects. Currently, the priority for Grant County on the funds was to use in the jail for withdrawal management happening inside the jail. So people who are coming into the jail who are basically detoxing and needing medication assistance to help with the withdrawal symptoms, that they were in Grant County, we were wanting to focus on those populations to help the jail. There's also other opportunities across the county to support individuals that are trying to recover from addiction, as well as opportunities for us to prevent addictions from happening or opioid use from happening. So I think there's a variety of different things we could do, but it seemed like coming in, the initial priority for Grant County is to help individuals inside the jail because it's been a significant problem for us.
Well, that makes sense, because then then it helps everybody, every city in the county.
Yes.
So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know if you had any specific questions, but I do know a decision needs to be made on if we're going to combine with the city of Moses Lake before I can get back a hold of Councilwoman Martinez to have any discussion going forward on that. So
So when you talk about issues between the city and the county, what would that look like?
I don't know the specific issues. I'm just aware of different conflicts there's been, whether it's been for animal control or for land. There's, my understanding is that there's been some conflict or understandings that there's blurring of lines between city and county, or city wants county to do different things that the county doesn't sometimes feel they're responsible for that. So just hearing this different conflict, and I just wasn't sure where the commissioner stood on wanting to, or their desire to do a combined RFP. It makes sense to me, but I didn't know where we stood as a county.
So would Robbie on the RFP, would he be addressing with in the homeless task force? Or, because I think the county, it does make sense to do this to move forward with them, but I didn't
agree.
know do we need to just reach out to the county or the city of Moses Lake and ask them if they want to do the RFP with us? Or-
So Councilwoman Martinez reached out to me
Okay,
with the ask, and I was coming to the commissioners to request, this was back in December. I didn't want to start discussions with the city without your approval to move forward. That
Bill
was
has been
it.
tasked with
I think
doing this.
I just want to make sure I'm following the procedure.
Well, and Rob's not here, so
I think anytime we can work together, it's
Terrific.
imperative. I mean, we gotta figure out, how we can mend those fences.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
Like I said, I'm not clear on what specific things. I just
Sure.
there's always some kind of
Oh,
issues.
sure. We hear that about the city as well, so
Yes.
it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think if we can work together, it's good.
Kevin McRae felt the same way as well. But when I initially asked, it made sense to him. So I do think it is something we will
okay,
do.
no, I'm in favor of moving forward.
I'll just make sure we get that through a consent process next
Okay.
week.
That
So-
would be
So
the
at least
best.
I have signature to.
Perfect. I hate to make a decision that impacts one
Yes.
commissioner, is a commissioner that represents the city of Moses Lake, so.
Yes. Okay, my next items are just updates for what's coming on consent this week or for tomorrow morning. The first is what I talked about last week was a functional exercise we're doing in Moses Lake for active threat. This is a simulated active shooter. They'll be coming into the building, and then it'll be law enforcement response, EMS response, triage, and then the follow-up care response will be needed for that. So tomorrow there will be a request coming through for us to close our offices. And the actual day that is May 14th. And that'll be for an entire day. So all of our staff will be coming to the Moses Lake site for that.
So it'll be May 14th or May 15th?
I had the 14th down, so I think on the, yeah, I can follow up on that. I've got the letter here with me too, so I think that might be a typo. May 14th.
Okay, I suppose you can.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And then just as an FYI on that, we do continue to run our 24-hour crisis service during that time, as well as our phones. So we'll be able to be accessible to the community, just that our front doors will be closed. The next one is the Everbridge contract. This is a contract that is for an app to be added to the cell phones that our staff have, so that they would be able to notify us if they're have an emergency. They can let us know they're safe. That we can send messaging out to them if something's happening inside the building. So this is another layer of safety, a safety component. This is what the sheriff's office currently uses Nixel through, so they're able to send out notices to the staff and countywide as well. This past year, what we've done is we added a paging system to each of our sites through our phones, so that there's any kind of emergency, we're able to page throughout our organization where issues may be. We've created different codes to call. So if there's like a code blue, which is someone that's having a medical emergency, or a code yellow, a code brown, if you're having a situation that could be a threat in the organizations, we're able to now call codes and page so that we have a response team. So this Everbridge contract we're trying to do is going to add another layer of safety as we have people traveling across the county. And if they need to reach out to their supervisor, they need to check in if they're safe. Other examples would be if we had a fire drill, people build a mark that they've exited the building, and if they're safe, and the supervisors can follow up with them in that way as well. So that's coming through tomorrow. It did have Rebecca's okay as well. So you'll see that. The last thing I have on the agenda is CDWG, which is, I didn't know exactly what the acronym stood for, but basically what this is working with technical services on a contract so that all of our WebEx equipment is being transitioned to Teams. So our monitors that we have, our big screens in some of our sites, the hardware is being switched out to support the Teams environment. So that's what that was. That's coming through in partnership with technical services. Any questions for me before we?
When are they gonna be doing that?
I think this was initially just the quote to go ahead and move to pay for, but I don't have the date they'll be installed. Yeah, this is just move forward and go ahead and pay for the equipment, and then we'll have a date for when it will be installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll give us then the RFP, the
Yes.
combined RFP, just get it in.
And on the RFP, Caroline will be, when we're ready to roll that out for the opioid abatement project, Caroline will roll that out. We've already got the language approved. It was just a matter of adding City of Moses Lake to it and their amount to it, or not. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
It's 10:45. We are.
Have a great morning.
The assessor.
Sorry.
15-minute update. Welcome. To Cali. Okay. We put it on the little.
Give you that for her. I was like, okay.
I feel like I'm doing a drug transaction. In my pocket. On
Candy.
video, case, yeah.
Candy. Valentine's candy. I don't have anything prepared. This is my first day back. I've been gone for 2 weeks. My first 2 weeks I've ever taken off
Welcome back.
in a couple decades. So I'm going through hundreds of emails right now.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I hope you had a nice time.
It's a
I
Monday,
hope it was
Monday
a
for
good,
me.
A good reason that you were gone and not.
At a different time, I'll stop in and let you guys know what's going on. I don't want to do it in a,
Okay, totally fine.
yeah.
Anything we need to know? How's the software conversion going? How's everything?
It was a rough December trying to get notices out and start levies, and we found some stuff that there was market adjustments that were put on incorrectly, or it updated incorrectly. We're fixing those. There is a levy issue with the state utilities. I'm working on that with Randy. I've got to get a hold of him today. He knew I was gonna, so I'm pretty sure he didn't work on it while I was gone. It shouldn't be too much of an impact. But what we'll be doing is I'll be redoing all of the levy worksheets to make sure what the impact is so we can adjust it next year for the over or under. It only affects the highest lawful levy, so it'll probably be less of an impact than we thought. But there was, the totals from each year didn't change that much from last year to this year. So, it shouldn't.
This is because of the software.
Yeah, it is, and we're working on that, and they're working on that. And I have a call in to the vice president, kind of to chew on him a little bit. So.
I had some people questioning me about the TIF out at the port. And
Yeah,
those parcels.
it's how we had to do it. We couldn't use the module, so we're doing it by hand, and so we're creating the report. So right now it's all reporting literally for the next month and a half, and a lot of it we have to do by hand, so we can get that portion working, which we're working on also.
So the software's not working for that particular thing right yet.
There's a few broken pieces to it, yeah. So, but the other software didn't have that anyway. We had to do it by hand. So it's just, we'll get it working. Clark County uses it, theirs is working. So if theirs is working, we can get ours to work. They should have a pretty easy fix, hopefully.
Getting hold of the software company to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a laundry list of things and things that we want to make sure that they have fixed before we move into market adjustments again in the summer for the next year. Because normally we don't get those out that late. This was just, I think the only other time we ever got them out in December was when we lost 6 months of work with the other software that we had to redo, so.
Yeah, software's an issue.
Live and die by it.
It's not fun.
No. So I'm playing catch up. And that's kind of, I've got a skeleton crew today. We've got the flu since the kids went back to school after Christmas. It has wiped out my office.
I know, something's going around.
It's like half staffed in any given day. And today it was just like, oh, everybody's dropping like flies. So we've got about we're half, maybe 7 people.
How are you doing on staff? Do you need additional staff or are you good on staff?
I've got a person retiring at the end of this month, so we'll be backfilling a position. If we can get everybody healthy and in working condition, I think we'll be all right. Yeah.
I assume that.
We're using a lot of Lysol in the office.
Yeah, I'm assuming that position is out on the.
Yeah, it just closed while I was gone.
Okay.
And then Matt will be back tomorrow. We'll officially fill it, and then it's an in-house for that position, and then we'll open up another position to the public and fill out. Yeah. Which actually my next trip is down to HR. So that's all I got.
Thanks
So
for
what was the
coming down.
element on the TIF that was the problem? To not use the module?
It sounded like the module itself.
It's a levy portion of it that wasn't working. So Randy and I, we create it has its own. It has 2 tax code areas itself because it's part of it's outside of in the county and part of it's inside the county, and that's how we did it. So the levy module itself, last year we couldn't use it because it didn't have information from the previous year. So we inputted everything that we could so we could use it this year. It still has, the levy module had problems. So I had to force a lot of the rates basically, which we were coming up against the wire. So that's the choice I made was like, yeah, we just got to turn and burn. So we'll force it again this year. that's what we did.
So
And then it should be we're hoping to have everything fixed for next year so we can use that.
So was PAX working on the fixes for my side, because it's gonna be a nightmare for my side to know on a monthly basis who's paid and disperse that money? So was PAX working on my side, because I can't get Randy to return my call the last 30 days, trying to figure out if they were including how it's impacting me?
I will ask them that question. Email me with all of what you need to know. And then I will forward that on to Randy. And I'll also send it to Bart and Richard.
Okay, so the Clark County's use of it is because they don't have a scenario that has two different tax codes. And that's why they don't have a.
Yeah, theirs is just the city. Theirs is just the city.
Because they have 3 TIFs right now. So you're saying they were lucky that they only had one tax code that was impacted for those 3 TIFs.
Yes.
And that PAX does not have a solution yet for something with more than one tax code.
Yeah. And we had to make 2 tax codes because you can't have yet, county and city. And because they did a very large area.
Yeah, because
Very large.
we're also having problems with the new tax codes and the past and how it's impacting REIT. And we're trying to have them look at that, but they're not responding to us on the problems where it impacted REIT as well, when we had a sale and a tax code that's saying it's multi-jurisdictional.
So, Randy, you could contact that.
Well, I was told now to contact Nicole White, and I've left messages for her, and she hasn't returned my calls yet.
Because they have like a treasurer side and an assessor side, so they don't necessarily. Randy does a lot, and he's getting busier and busier. So
Maybe he's out sick as well.
that might be too.
Yeah, but he didn't even.
Email Bart.
Bart.
He's the vice president.
Okay.
That's what I do when I don't get. I go straight to Bart.
Yeah, because
And that usually lights a fire.
Yeah, because we're trying to get the fix to current use. We found a 10-minute workaround per parcel. And we're trying to get them to talk to us, about how do we fix current use? Because you can't put current use over 8 separate years. Because that's not the law.
Right.
DOR said that's not allowed. So
Right.
we have to fix all those manually, and we're trying to get a workaround, so we don't have to spend 10 more minutes per parcel fixing the program. Okay. All right, well, I didn't know we were having problems. When we did this, I was expecting us to be using the module, and I was surprised that we didn't use the module.
Yeah, it wasn't working, so it was just like, okay, this is how we're gonna have to set it up. I think we did that on a Saturday night at like 9:30 at night. Telephone call. That's levy season for you.
All right.
So,
Well, thanks for coming down.
yeah,
Nice to see you.
yeah,
Glad you had a
I'm-
vacation.
it was a medical thing.
Well, that's not a vacation.
No, I have not had a vacation in 2 decades. But yeah, it was nice to have 2 weeks, but yeah, it was medical. I'll talk to you guys later up in the office. Just to give you guys a heads up what's going on. But
Thank you.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll go into recess until 11 a.m. Good morning. It's 11:02 a.m. We are waiting for the auditor's office to arrive, and we will be offline while we wait. Caitlin, if you could send a reminder, I would appreciate it.
Commissioners, I tried calling Michelle and I got sent to voicemail. I did call Recording and Mandy, and Mandy said that Michelle is working on ballots today, so there's probably no.
She probably has to go collect them.
Yeah, tomorrow's the election.
All right.
All right, thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Well then, Caitlin, I will send an email just to remind that to send someone in your place if you don't attend the meeting yourself. And we'll go into recess until 11:15 when we're back for the fairgrounds update. Good morning, it is 11:15 a.m. and we are here for a fairgrounds update. Jim McKiernan is online.
Hey, look at that. I'm on time too.
Surprised you're not in your podcast studio with the good lighting and the logo.
Yeah, the lighting, the logo, and the better microphones, it definitely would help. Let me know when one of you want to come up there and get interviewed about the Fairgrounds Fair and county government. Let's see, this week, one of our big questions is whether or not we're going to have poultry showing at fair, obviously with all the avian flu issues. I know that's something we're kind of watching. I've reached out to the state vet, and at this time, they're saying there's no reasons to shut it down, but that could change on a moment's notice. So we're kind of just watching that. I know we'll be very diligent, making sure that we're doing as much as we can to clean the poultry barns, in addition to all the other barns. But track work is continuing with Public Works working on that. Tom did say they're going to charge us this year for that work. But we feel pretty confident they're going to, based on the weather, get around to near the entry into the south side of the rodeo arena. And we've got a plan on how we're going to taper that down so that there's no issues driving out of the arena. Been working with the Rodeo Association. They've thrown a couple more projects at us. Tom and I try to steer them so that we tackle 1 or 2 major projects each year rather than the 10 that they would like. And we're working on some bleacher things with them, the new bleachers, but also they're wanting to retrofit the bleachers in the VIP beer garden, which we're working with them on, and expand that slightly. So part of the dirt from the track will go over towards near where their loading chute is, and we're going to kind of taper that off or make it a little bit larger area so that they have a little more space there, and then they'll expand their bleachers in that area at some point. We're not sure when, but Larry Schwab's been over. I go to their meetings pretty much regularly every month, and so I'll be there tomorrow night and have a little better idea of what their timing is. We currently have, I was told by Daniel, we have 10 applications for our event person, our groundskeeper, which would supplement Lori and Ken. It closes this Friday, and he's expecting 20 to 25 applicants. He'll screen those and then send me the ones that could be interviewed, and we'll go through those and probably get it down to 3 to 5 candidates to interview. We're excited about that. It's going to help us immensely be able to react to turning the facility over for events. That's a big deal. We have an FAC meeting this Thursday, so if any of you want to come to that, it's at 6 o'clock in our EMM building, which is on the backside of bathroom 2. Barbara Durbeck is working on the OBS contract, which is Oregon Beverage Services. We renew every 5 years, which is our alcohol service contract. She made a couple suggested changes. OBS said yes to the changes, so we're just waiting for the final details, and then you will get that for signature. And then the last thing I had was the Seattle's Finest contract. We're just waiting for Raleigh with Seattle's Finest to review those last few changes, and then that contract will be coming to you as well. So both those contracts are coming up. We're hot and heavy into sponsorships right now. We're doing pretty good on our sponsorship revenue, and we've got good feedback so far. You know, I was a little nervous with the issues we had last year at fair, but there doesn't seem to be any concern about that. And that's about all we have right now. I'm working on some ice machine. I mean, just typical stuff, rentals for generators. We are gonna see about getting some new drone footage of the facility once it starts to green up and look good, which will be good for marketing. And I am discussing with Tom Beckwith with the destination marketing planning. I have been in contact with him with some suggestions and some ideas that I had. So he's been very open to those discussions, and I think there was a question as to whether we wanted them to do, or the Tourism Commission to do work for the fairgrounds, and we do a lot of our own marketing already. If there's something that we can share, placer data is the one thing I think we could possibly share with them about the fairgrounds, and so. And last but not least, we just submitted our grant application for our premium funds from the WSDA. So that's about where we're at. Any questions?
Where were you last Friday when I came by to see you?
Where was I last Friday? At what time?
I don't know, it was right after lunch. You might have been gone to lunch or something. Your truck wasn't there, so I turned around and left.
Oh, you know what? I went to the gym. You know, you got to keep this 62-year-old body going, you know, Kevin. You can always join me there, Kevin, if you want. It's at noon. I go to Planet Fitness in Moses Lake there, do the Stairmaster a little bit, you know.
I get a lot of exercise around here.
I know. I pass you every morning with your dump trailer. I'm trying to figure out how much stuff you're hauling to the dump each day.
Today
Landfill, not dump, landfill.
Oh, landfill, sorry.
Today I'm hauling my new engine from my diesel.
Oh. Yeah, I passed you this morning. I always you go by and I don't realize it's you until you're almost right beside me. So
I'll probably see you Thursday night.
okay. Sounds good. We do yeah, rodeo meeting tomorrow night and then FAC meeting on Thursday night.
How have your podcasts gone?
The two that we've done, I think, went pretty well. I mean, I saw some of the feedback on the Grant County Sheriff's side when they posted it, and it was like, oh my gosh. But I have to get used to that public input, which isn't always, I'll just leave it at that.
I didn't read the comments, so I'll have to look.
Overall, I think the feedback's been really good. We're gonna do Jessica Worley next week and talk about 4-H. And some of the things that are happening in 4-H. And this week on Thursday, we're interviewing Jeremy Anders with Wenatchee Valley Super Oval. I mean, the interviews take about 15 minutes. It's not a big time consuming thing. I send them out a kind of an outline of what we want to talk about ahead of time so they got an idea and can give me feedback so they're not blinded when they come in. And takes 5 minutes to edit that and then post it. And I think the feedback's been really good. We already got a request from the Rodeo Association to interview some people for the demo derby and the new rodeo queen. So that's going to be coming up probably in June. So I'm hoping to get some FFA teachers interviewed, but really the focus is to promote youth ag activities as well as what's happening at the fairgrounds.
Did you find out from accounting if with the new software you'll have to still run your QuickBooks separate?
I have not heard yet what the status of that is. I'm a little worried still. I haven't had time to talk to Mandy about it again. I figured I'd let her figure it out herself first. Have you heard anything?
No, it just was brought up twice last week, but Haven't heard anything this week.
When I think Michelle was hearing those project numbers or project accounting, but I just wasn't sure how that was going to give us the data that we need for the grants that we do. And like you said, we said at the meeting the other day, Dell's really worried about it, and so is Susie. They have way more grants than I do.
Okay. Your camera project is going on schedule?
Yep, Ricky's here working on cameras. I haven't seen any new ones pop up yet. But I do know that those are going pretty well. It does show us some areas where we need to add some lighting. And Chris is working on that. All of the PA system speakers came in, so Chris is also installing those. So we'll have PA speakers throughout the entire grounds, which, if you remember, that was one of the problems we had, is nobody could hear in certain areas, campgrounds specifically.
Especially,
And all of our surplus equipment sold, which was good, get this stuff out of here. But the place is absolutely frozen right now. You can ice skate out on the rodeo arena if you want, so maybe we should charge. I don't know.
ice skate rink.
Ice skating. Hockey team.
Whatever gets the arena used.
Yep.
I think the most like hockey team got first in their tournament. Was it last weekend?
Whoa. We could be a practice facility right now for them.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope. That's it.
Anything for Jim?
Thanks. See you Thursday.
Okay, we will go into recess until 11:30.
Can you CC me on it?
Good morning, it is 11:30 a.m. and we are here for a Tourism Advisory Committee legal discussion. We do have an anticipated executive session. Is that going to take place?
Yes, please.
How long would you like?
15 to start.
We will go into executive session. Is everybody in the room good to be in executive session? And would you like Pam in that also?
Yes, and
Okay.
yes.
So we will be
I'm
going
here.
backstage for that. For litigation, RCW 42.30.110(I).
So, and I really apologize. We do need to talk about, Rochelle is not a employee of the county. She is a contractor. Are we all okay with Rochelle being here?
Understand these are confidential discussions.
Rob, can you call exactly what time you want to come out, please?
11:45.
Thank you.
You want to extend?
Yep, probably extend for 10 minutes.
If you scroll down to this.
We are going to extend executive session for 10 additional minutes.
That was a part of the ARPA requirements, though.
We are now out of executive session. It is 11:55 a.m.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we
Anything
need to
further?
announce any direction, or are we good? Just rolling forward.
Nope. I think we're good.
We're following up with the Herald, and then you guys are gonna follow up on the business license question. Perfect. And insurance, it sounds like.
Anything else for this
So,
meeting?
and Michelle, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
All right, we will go into
Thank you.
recess at 11:55 a.m. and return at 1 p.m. for position management review team.
Thank you. It was a Christmas gift a really long time ago. But the butterflies, it used to have stuff on them.
Oh.
And obviously, the jeans. One of them has an extra.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. and we are here for our position management review.
Position management review, we no longer have roundtable. What time is it tomorrow? I wasn't sure if
Okay,
it's the 8:30 or the 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It's at 8 or 9 maybe.
Consent agenda review.
8:30. which that is kind of for us. That gives us time to go through the
Okay, so that's
folder.
not when other people come from around here?
No.
Okay.
Some people will come, but it's mainly just so that we each have time to review the items if we don't review them before the meeting.
Okay, we don't have positions to review specifically today, any new requests. We do have some housekeeping items that we have talked about with the board. We talked about it last week. Changes to PMRT. So you'll see, you'll see on the top part of the form, this is the form, you guys don't normally see the form, but this is the form that HR has done in order to manage the requests. We ask that department heads and electeds fill out the top portion along with a business needs summary. Why are they asking for the position? Why are they wanting to make a change or reclassification? On this form, what we have added is the proposed wage and current wages, which wasn't on there before. I would usually look up that information and have it present for us to review. So that is a change. The second change to this is really to put the onus back onto the department. A lot of times what HR hears, and even you guys in your department, is you didn't sell it hard enough. You didn't, I'm taking it back to the board because I didn't have a voice. So we want department heads and electeds, supervisors, managers to have their voice and use their voice. And in part of doing that is putting together a slide presentation. So you'll see in the middle of the page, that's what the kind of the instructions to do so. But then the slides, pretty simple slides. They just pop in the information there. They can put it on laptop or bring it here in paper form to the board and for PMRT to review in our meetings. So I wanted to share that change, a proposed change, and get any feedback.
I like it. Normally you just hear it because I want it, because I need it. You don't hear why.
Or I feel.
Yeah, feel is real common.
I hear feelings a lot. Really just what is, and when I ask leaders what it is, why they're wanting to make a change is, what is your vision for your department? What is your end goal? To help explain the why. Sometimes I get it, other times I don't get it, but this is really the leader's opportunity to come and share with all of us what their vision is and why they're asking for what they're asking for. And given that PMRT is going to be more formal with the three of you, it gives them the stage to be able to speak to all of you.
No,
And
that's
then,
great.
and then us to be able to say whether all of the pieces that we check off each meeting are in place, or if there's more work that needs to be done on the topic.
If we're gonna keep this open with full board, should we just call it position management review and not even call it a team anymore?
You can call it with whatever you'd like.
You know, because people don't like the team part, right? That was what it always got, was the team. Now it's a literal meeting.
Yeah, could just be position management review, PMR.
There you go. Acronyms already.
Yep. I The team part is we all have a section to make sure that everything is in place for the three of you to make an informed decision. So,
I like it.
okay.
Yeah, it's nice. It puts a little thought into a 70, 80, 90, $100,000 spend.
Sounds good. Anything that's missing that you guys can think should be added? My assumption is that we'll get feedback real time and then we'll update it as we need to, but.
It's a work in progress. MRT has been a work in progress. And I appreciate the efforts people put into helping us make it successful, so.
So we'll be bringing something to PMR shortly for Felicity. Hopefully we'll get that pretty soon. Are we gonna be required to do it in this format?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
And the presentation, we can share. I foresee you working with your consultant, the consultant then says, great, here's the form, here's the template you need, and then you have this PowerPoint presentation. It is editable, but you can't remove slides or add slides and stuff. It's gonna be sticking to this format. And then you and your consultant working together to make sure that all of the pieces are there and then bring it to PMR, sorry.
Where is the slide at?
Currently, it's in our internal folder. We haven't made that external, as well as this form, it's not external yet. We've just been sending it to people as.
The consultant, when you're working with a consultant about what you're wanting to do with the position, they will then send it to you, the documents to you to fill out and make, and to assist however they can.
Jonathan.
What?
Jonathan is our consultant. Jonathan.
You'll reach out to him and let him know that you're gonna make a request and you guys will work together on this.
Gotcha.
Thanks for making it. It looks really good.
Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys see any errors, because,
I think it'll be helpful for the people presenting to have that format, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, a couple other topics that I believe we should chat about today is our risk and safety coordinator, so excited that he's here with getting him set up. So items to chat about is supervision of that position with Kirk not being here. It changes that also with, I think Barb brought forward earlier today to the board, her position and what the intent is for that. So she has clear expectations of what is expected of her and your team upstairs. I don't know if that's something that we want to go into executive session for, since we'll be talking specifically.
Yeah, too. 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we gonna keep everyone in the room or release accounting?
I don't think we need.
Do we need accounting for any other?
I don't think
Because
so.
we can do the executive session last.
Yeah, no, I don't have any other
Okay.
stuff for them. Usually
Feels like
we
you're
have a-
free to go for the rest of the
Usually we have a list of positions, but we don't today, so.
All righty then.
Enjoy the next hour.
Thank you. And Mandy, do reach out about the change that you want so we can help you with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we are going to go into executive session beginning at 1:10 p.m., returning at 1:30 p.m. for job applicant / evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G. It is 1:30 PM and we are out of executive session. Do we want to extend at all?
I don't need to.
Okay, any topics?
Nope, no topics.
Okay. Commissioners, any topics?
I understand the numbers here a little better.
Yeah, and I think the last meeting you had talking about wages and wanting to understand the structure. And so what you're seeing is the base, one of our base tables, which is then made up of all the other tables. So yeah, I'm glad you understood it without any explanation.
Makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, we will go into recess until 2 PM and we're back with the treasurer's office update. Good afternoon, it is 2 PM and we are here with Daryl Pheasant for the treasurer's office update.
All right. We still haven't done a tax calc. We have weed districts that still haven't given us a rule, but we've sent them the correct data of what all the parcels are in the district for now them to make decisions on that they did not have before. So we had to update the list that last assessor's office sent them missed parcels and where they could have gotten more revenue or lower the rates with the additional parcels. So that's, we're still getting to that point. We're still waiting for the response and then get them in and do the calc. So that's for that one. I just discovered we have another parcel we have to pull out of foreclosure. We got a bad title report from Grant Title on something that was clear back to a sheriff's sale where they had the wrong legal restrictions. So we don't know what the implications of a bank sale with wrong legals to see if they actually put it in the newspaper correctly and just did their deeds with wrong legals. But we have a parcel in our sale. I talked to the person and this morning, because we never sent notice of them because the title report didn't have their names in it. And we sent all the documents to the title company saying, why didn't we get told about this? Well, a while ago. So that's a new item that just happened this morning. I had a just good discussion with another parcel in foreclosure on another estate where they finally created a probate Friday, which gives the personal representative the opportunity to pay taxes. And right now it has 9 family members that were heirs to this estate. And they just assumed people signed off on a piece of paper that would be enough for us to just do a deed to a person, and that's not the way the process is. So we're having fun with that one. So hopefully we'll get the money and take that one out of our sale. Our sale, foreclosure sale, Friday is our last day before we have our sale starting on Tuesday next week. So right now I believe we're at 21 or 22 parcels and still working on some others to keep them redeemed. The LTIF, just to reaffirm, talking to the port again. But yeah, so what Melissa's meeting this morning said was that she was aware of a problem in December and did not tell me about it. Where I was expecting her to use the software, and then I was surprised in January when it wasn't used, and it's been spending over a month trying to find out why. And today I finally got the reason why of software. I haven't had a chance to talk to Clark County and verify if they just had a pure one tax code TIFs, never had to deal with this. I'm trying to find out. I'm doing more research. But the Chelan County treasurer was surprised on PACS not having software that works for this situation. But it'd be nice to talk to someone from PACS so I could talk to them and see what is going on. And of course, and I mentioned this before, now that a new person that I was told they were supposed to in the emails get responded back to me by Friday, and they didn't. And I called on Friday to see when we're going to talk, and they still haven't responded to me. trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. Something new, we decided, boy, I'm going pretty fast here.
Slow down, Darryl.
Okay. We decided to put our investment reports on our website, on the treasurer's website. Now, the STAR report, which is the cash and everything, is on the auditor's side for same place. I'm not sure the STAR reports are being made available to the public, but ours is, our investment reports are made available to the public. It's not a detailed of what investments we bought. It's just showing the investment mix of all the things we have, the duration, the days to maturity average. So you may want to take a look under the treasurer's website for our new link, just to see. It's the same thing I provide to, technically every month, I'm providing an investment report to the board that I give to Barbara. I do not know if that's being shared with you or how that's being dispersed, which has one additional page, which actually gives you the details of the investments that I'm currently owning. And I just found out just now, another investment was called, they were getting 5% and being offered something to replace it at 4.8. Pondering it, but in regards to our investment decisions, we have a lot of investments that hit February. So part of the decisions Carrie and I do is, do we really need to add another February investment, or is waiting to have a different month investment and putting that money, have the money mature during that month, a better option? So that's part of the thinking we do when we get investments, make investment purchases, is we're looking at trying to not have everything happen in a couple months. We're really spreading things out. So what we do with our investments is we're buying callables, which means we're playing the call risk. Playing the call risk means that we are hoping it doesn't get called quickly to get the interest rate. If it does, then we have to look at how we're going to replace it. Do we replace it with a state pool, or is there something out there we can replace it with that's better than a state pool for the time period we want to invest out to? So those are the type of decisions that we're making on making sure we have cash flow, especially with all the payments for the jail, the hospitals, all these payments that we're need cash flow for to have available for construction spending. We have to make sure we have enough cash to pay every bill that comes in. So that's why we have a big $100,000, $150,000 in the state pool. Now it's down to 143 million today. So we put a lot of money there, and we have over 300 something million in agency securities, Freddie Mac's, Federal Home Loan Banks, Fannie Mae's, and one other one, Sallie Mae's, rarely, things like that, that we're purchasing that are guaranteed by the federal government in a different type of way. It's not, those agencies are not under the Treasury, but they are so liquid out there that we just, the risk is to sell it early is the market risk, and what is it priced at that day. So we avoid as much as possible selling things early if we need cash. Talk about the flow of work in the treasurer's office. We have many different sections. We have the real estate excise tax section. We have 4 employees that actually do the administrative side of entering transactions, and they come to me in regards to any questions. If we get something from a title company or from an attorney that is not making sense or is not complying.
Just drop stuff.
Oh, it sounded like somebody fell. Sorry.
Sorry, Harold.
No problem. That's more important if someone falls.
Downstairs.
Yes. Yeah, it's just don't fall on Block House on Christmas Eve at your brother's house and scream at your nephew who's sitting in a truck and doesn't hear you. And you're worried about, he said he would have saw me. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if he would run me over or not. I was not taking chances. So, we have the real estate excise tax. In the past, we used to do about 400 plus actions a month. We're right now at 250 for this February, which was this time period for January, 250 transactions. Of course, a lot of things are based on sales and when interest rates are more favorable to have that market. If interest rates go down more, then a lot of people are going to be thinking about doing more sales and buyers are going to be coming in at prices they can afford.
January was a good month.
So we still, and from those sales, we're still seeing almost all of them are way above the assessor's current value. So the knowledge that the people do not have when they're mad about their values is that these sales, what we're seeing really backs up the general sales of the general type of things. Not the unique things, but the general type of things that we're seeing. Now, one thing that's really strange that I also noticed last week, that we, up at Trinidad, we actually owned, with 3 parcels, the strip of land from the state highway to the Crescent Bar Road. And in 22,
we sold them.
yes, in 22, we had a surplus auction and sold those 3 parcels for $66,000. The biggest parcel had a value of 900 and something dollars. That value is now $1 for this year. The values of the other 2 smaller parcels was $470, and this year's value is $476. Now, our sale was being considered an arm's length transaction, but somehow what we sold for $66,000, we can't even get it assessed at 10. Just, it's $1. And I even talked to Mr. Slager, who bought it, S&S Brothers Properties. He's of course mad about other values of properties, but I didn't even notice that I had those, that property I paid this much for has going to generate no taxes for this year.
That was the conversation I had with Matt, because I was pretty surprised that my home value, my business value was pretty low, I thought, and then my property values were very low. And I just said, I'm not complaining because this one's crazy and these are not right. But I was like, there is no consistency. I mean, they can't really tell me there is.
Yeah, so I don't know, of course, Mr. Slager would be nice if he would replat that parcel into one. Actually, the parcel's big enough where you could have put storage buildings for boats and things like that up at the top, like there's other storage buildings beyond on the other side of the road.
Right.
So there was opportunity to do something with that parcel instead of be the place where people dump their property and have it sit on there, which is currently right now. But we actually sold that for $66, and it's now worth less than when we sold it. So,
According to the assessed values.
yes, I don't know what's going on. Also, in Melissa's meeting, she mentioned about problems with state assessed utilities. Now, talking to, I brought this up. Talking to Chelan County, he wasn't aware there was a problem with state assessed utilities. And so the question is did our county only get that information from the state, or what exactly happened? Because other counties right now weren't aware of any problems at all with state assessed utilities at the numbers they got. So why us? But I'm still doing more research to see if this was a bigger problem. But it seems to be we are the ones that seem to have these unique problems. So that's what John, I'm just going up. There's so many things that happen. That's why turning an agenda by a certain day, there's so many things that happen in my office that come up that I need to throw in just to show you what's going on, all these things that happen. So back to Treasurer's Office workflow, and I got 2 minutes. So just the function of REIT. We have the 4 people processing, a lot of them on Simplify. So a lot of electronic REITs are coming, and then there's some over the counter. And so we're doing that function. And then, of course, those documents then get, they record the deeds on the other documents. We send the affidavits to the assessor's office. The assessor's office reviews them and then makes ownership changes from those documents after they verify them. And so that's the process. We change the taxpayer because we never know how fast the assessor will change their side. So we want to make sure tax statements go out to the latest correct person. So that is the process for what we do just for REIT. Our next meeting, I'll bring up a different phase of our office. So you can have a good idea of all the different functions. So any questions that you may have?
Assessor's office typically update those files, or do you guys do that automatically?
Which files? Which files we talk about?
Your REIT files, making sure that the tax statements get sent to the right person.
Okay. We're changing taxpayer, so we're not depending on them. Or if it's a brand new taxpayer, then we have to wait for them to create a new owner ID so that we can then make a change to what they say. Now, one thing, really quick, before my last minute's up. TerraScan used to have a REIT sifter where people could look up affidavits. That PAX doesn't have such a program. So the only thing is when we scan documents, they only attach to the parcel, the parcels that impacted. So there is no ability to look for REIT affidavits in a chronological order. The people have to do different type of search trying to find all the sales transactions that happen in a particular month for your for-profit appraisers. Then and so then this system wasn't built for the public. It's just going, and I keep asking treasurers, why did you not want this? And it's just going, the public demands for information, and then that means you have to spend a lot more time providing it through public records requests and stuff like that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Mhm.
Glad we didn't have an
Okay,
injury.
Susie has been promoted, so we will roll into a New Hope Kids Hope update. Susie, are you able to unmute?
I am. I'm actually in Olympia right now and kind of in a noisy hallway. So hopefully you hear me okay.
Yep, great.
Okay. So I think I see Rebecca there. Are you there, Rebecca? Hi.
I am. Hello.
Maybe we just jump straight to that. I put on consent agenda for tomorrow permission to DocuSign our new NCA grant that we were awarded. So just a little background on this. This is a federal grant, super competitive, that we applied for last year, before October. And then we were notified that we were awarded the funds. Should have been notified in December. And they waited till January, didn't get a contract till just recently. And then there was the federal freeze. So didn't know if we would even get one before the freeze happened, but we did. I sent it over to Rebecca for review. And I'm not sure why, but the feds have put a deadline on this coming Friday to have it signed. And Rebecca has reviewed it, and I'll just let her take it from here.
So I did review it, and I believe I sent an email to you all regarding my concern about the grant language, requiring the grantees to comply with all the executive orders, the applicable executive orders. As everybody's very well aware right now, things are really in flux with the federal government. And the federal government's stance on issues at some point may not align with Washington state's statutes and requirements. So one of my concerns is that we may end up possibly in the crosshairs between a Washington state statute requirement being targeted by the AG's office and the federal government requiring us to do something in order to comply with the executive order or breach the grant agreement. As Susie pointed out, this is all conjecture at the moment. However, our experience with Keep Washington Working has demonstrated that these concerns probably are fair. Our office and the sheriff's office were targeted by the AG's office after some issues came up. They targeted our office and the sheriff's office and provided a letter saying we did our office and the sheriff's office did a bunch of different things. And when Kevin asked for them to substantiate it, they could not. That did not keep them from providing it to UW. It's my understanding from Kevin and a nice report from, sarcastically speaking, a report on UW report on human rights or something to that effect. Again, this is from Kevin. Came out with only a footnote saying that the allegations were not substantiated. Otherwise, yeah. So our experience with the Keep Washington Working Act has been that both sides have taken stances that they're willing to maybe take some less than fair shots at us in order to further their stances. So that's the concern. However, like Susie said, it is conjecture at this point. We don't know how everything is going to play out. My personal experience with the federal government attorney this last week was not a positive one. He was willing to levy allegations against myself while we were on the phone that he could not substantiate. So again, my concern is that there's a potential of the county being caught in the crosshairs. That being said, I do understand that the county does appreciate money. So I wanted to bring this to your attention so you can make a decision based on all the information I can provide. Do you have any questions for me?
When did this happen?
Which when?
The report from the University of Washington.
I'd have to verify with Kevin. I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago. I'd have to verify with Kevin.
Kind of like a celebrity.
Adams County has also been targeted, and
So
they
we're not alone.
us in Adams County. The AG's office actually filed suit against Adams County. They did not file suit against us.
So this is not our current AG, but the previous AG.
That is correct. Who is now our governor? Yes, that is correct.
Also, if I might, I mean, I realize Rebecca's issue would be at that 30,000 foot level and its dealings with the county having, trying to comply with some federal work and state, just the conflict between the two. And the work that was mentioned 1 or 2 years ago, whenever it was not for New Hope. This federal grant is for the salaries and benefits to pay for our child forensic interviewer. I mean, it's only $50,000. It's just going to pay a part of her, but with the other funding cuts that we are facing, we need every dime we can. So I just want to offer that as well.
Susie also made an excellent point that this is likely not going to just affect this one grant. It's going to be, it's probably language that we're going to have to look at, that you're going to have to be aware of for many of the grants that either come directly from the federal government or sub-granted to us. So.
And that will be way more than our department. I mean, that's the sheriff's office. It's a lot of us, and almost every single one of the ones that will be for my department will be for July 1. So that is coming up. And I kind of feel like maybe we should sit down and talk about the implications of that. Maybe even as a few more weeks roll out and the prosecutor's office gets more information on what that may or may not look like too. I think we're all still in so much unknown. But at this point, I've put it forward to be on tomorrow's consent agenda to get permission to sign it. And I mean, not for pressure or anything, but we have until this Friday to do it. And tomorrow's the only consent agenda time. If you say no, that's fine. No, it's not fine. I won't be thrilled. I will respect it. But if you say yes, I'm going to definitely sign that contract tomorrow or agreement.
Is there anything further that that would be helpful for me? Obviously, ultimately, it's your guys' decision. I certainly understand the county appreciating the money. And I just raised this as just kind of a yellow flag, not necessarily a red flag, just a yellow flag saying, hey, this is an issue. Our past experience with both the state and the federal government has not necessarily been the best.
I have a question maybe. So Rebecca, what's the worst that could happen? So let's say the feds tell us we have to do X in this grant and the state says you absolutely can't do X, you have to do Y.
So what would be the worst that could happen?
Then we just wouldn't get funded, right? We wouldn't be able to ask for reimbursement for that, and it would be a default on the grant.
So that would be one of the things that could happen. We could also be sued by again, it depends on the statute. It depends on the situation. I'd have to go back and look and see specifically what the situation would be.
Okay.
I don't, as far as like what the AG's office could come after us for and the ramifications, I think it would depend on the situation and I'd have to go and look. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have any other questions about that?
I will say, if it implicated what Washington State considers civil rights, then that can affect different things such as different funding as well. If we get any kind of a finding regarding civil rights.
I'm assuming you've seen this grant?
I have. I have no problem with it other than the language at the very end was concerning in that it could potentially pit or put us in the crosshairs between federal and state stances on different issues. If there's an executive order that would require us to do something for the grant that directly contradicts Washington state law, then that would potentially be a problem.
Have we ever had that happen?
As far as I'm aware of, for grants, no. The other thing I noticed was that there's a 30-day termination requirement for this particular grant. So we could terminate, but we would still have those 30 days where we could potentially be caught in that crosshair time.
All the things they have going on in the federal government right now, I think we'd probably be safe.
And that is something that
Can you say that again? I didn't hear that.
up to you guys to consider.
I just said with all the things that are going on with the federal government right now, I think we'd probably be safe. We'd have 30 days.
I will say it would probably be more Washington State that I'd be worried about. If we are required to be doing, if we're required to comply with something from an executive order, and that directly contradicts the Washington state law, I would be concerned because the AG's office, we are known to the AG's office.
Okay. I don't have any more.
Nothing else at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you,
Rebecca.
Susie.
Thank you, Susie.
I cannot see what time it is on my phone.
It is
I'm over time. Okay.
Is there anything else you need, Susie?
I really want to know if there are any more ARPA funds available.
Sort of,
We may
but
have.
we didn't designate them, so.
Okay. Depending on what happens with the state legislature, I just may want to be in queue to ask for additional funds in my current ARPA request.
I don't think there's any available. I think they had to be spent by the December 31st.
Yeah, they had to be allocated. And I know I was on the allocation list. So like if somebody didn't spend all their funds between now and the end of 2026 could possibly be redirected.
My advice to you would be to get a hold of Carrie.
Okay. Perfect. I will. Okay. And then are you going to take under consideration signing or giving me permission to sign the grant? Since I'm in Olympia, do you want me to check back in tomorrow? Or do you know which way you're leaning?
For me, I think in their update this afternoon, I'm going to ask her to go over it one more time.
Okay. All right. I'll check back in tomorrow then. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Have fun.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
I was there, but I wasn't following very good, and then I didn't understand, so. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
It is 2:32, and we are now moving into the county clerk's office update. How are you?
It's been a crazy day.
Why?
I just got here about 15 minutes ago because I was at home this morning waiting for the dishwasher repairman who apparently called in sick and was not coming today.
Oh. We all been there.
But we didn't know that. So I was waiting at home, working from home, checking email. And then I had an appointment in Moses Lake at noon. And I had to be there at the bank with 3 other people to take 2 signers off an account and put 2 signers on an account. And the person that we had an appointment with was not there today.
Is that for here?
It was a no,
Oh,
uh, for Republican women.
oh,
And so it's like, wow, I am 2 for 2. And it took an hour and a half
well, we're
Just-
here.
to change signers.
For
I'm so
you.
glad that all 3 of you are here. And I had intended to bring my chief deputy today to introduce you all to Cheryl. Some of you have met her before, but she called in sick, so.
Seems to be going around here.
We got some kind of crud going around our office. I don't know if everybody else is having that issue, but every other day we've got somebody new going down, somebody else coming back. So I really don't have much of an update.
Well, I'm
Unless you
glad
have
you're
questions.
here.
I
You're
feel so
available. Did you get anything done today?
discombobulated. Well, I got to check email, which felt good. I went back through, during the Super Bowl, my excitement was going through my old email and cleaning out my inbox. So it felt good to get that all up to date. So this morning I kept it up to date. But what's new? Anything new and exciting going on?
Not much. You did bring up the, in the TS update last week about the e-filing for general public coming up at some point.
Yeah. Yes, that's been rolling around in the back of my head. I think I just need to prepare my staff that it's gonna have to happen and we're just gonna have to live through the growing pains. But I would like to work with TS, getting some sort of tutorial or something, maybe even just in writing that we could maybe post online and have screenshots of the different
Pretty cool to do a
steps.
little video of the steps.
Yeah, something to help people, because it's hard. I mean, we just had, I allowed juvenile staff to sign up for it, and one of the legal secretaries tried to e-file and it was declined because it didn't meet all of the requirements, so she just brought it down to our office and avoided the e-file process, even though the rules technically are still the same. So we gotta be a little more forceful in enforcing those rules. Even stuff that comes across our counter is supposed to comply with those rules. So just getting everybody to comply. The same rules that have been in effect for years and years and years, but we were able to make it work with things coming across the counter, and we're not as flexible with e-filing because of things happening in the background without us, having control of that. So I did, I guess that was the same day, met with Superior Court to talk about that. So they are gearing up. They ordered extra computers for the benches that are something that can, like the screen can lay back flatter, because the judges were concerned about having a second screen and that would obstruct their view of, no matter where they put it, it's going to obstruct the jury or a witness or the attorney.
So they can lay it.
So they can lay it back
Okay.
somehow, so it doesn't obstruct their view. So they've got those. It sounded like they were ordering them. TS found something for them. So that's good, so that they can start
pretending that they're paperless and let me know the issues that they run across as they come up. So that'll be good. Other than that, can't think of any hot topics.
Nothing else going on?
Plugging away.
Sounds like a fun day you've had.
I know. Hopefully your week gets better. It's been kind of
I
sweet
know.
this week.
Like, I feel so out of sorts. But then just as I was coming over here, one of the guys from maintenance was like, I thought you were out. And I was like, well, I was, but I'm back. It's like, why? He's, well, because I sent you that email and it said you were out of office. It's like, oh, well, I just got back. Have a meeting with the commissioners. I'll fix that when I get back. So,
All right.
I got nothing else.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Hopefully it is just awesome.
It'll go fast because I don't have very much left. Next Monday is a holiday and I saw that my meeting just got canceled for that. I actually, when it popped up, I thought it was today's meeting and it was like, uh-oh. Really striking out, but then I
Holidays will be
it was for the
canceled Monday meetings.
Okay. And then the next Monday, I'm out of the office. I told Cheryl that she was gonna have to cover for me. So she'll probably be here unless something crazy happens. So I'll tell her to have something for you.
Cool.
Not
Thank
sure
you.
what, but if nothing else, she can introduce herself. You can grill her about how long she's worked for the county. And how fun it is to work in the clerk's office.
The best.
The best.
Okay, we're going to go into recess until 3 p.m. and then we will be back with Superior Court. Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. and we're here for a Superior Court update. We have Judge Gelati with us today. Howdy.
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. What would you guys like to know?
Can you grant us with your wisdom?
What would you like me to talk about?
Well, it's kind of tough because when it's with like Crystal, it's easier to talk about daily operations and stuff like that.
Miss Burns she's unavailable, so
Yeah, that's what she said she would be.
yeah, so she sent me.
So with you, what are things you would like us to know? We often are the reason why people don't get what they would like to see, or we're an excuse used sometimes. So what we're trying to do is have just good working relationships, be updated, know what's kind of going on, not be surprised by things.
Okay.
How that impacts the Superior Court judge, I don't know, but we can find out.
So do you want just an update on our court, like
Yeah, it
what
could
we're
be-
doing this week,
Yeah, it could
or
be that, or it could be case types that you're seeing, or things that aren't being prosecuted. It'd be cool to kind of know what is being done, because there's a shortage of public defense and prosecutors.
Well,
So
I wouldn't know what's not being prosecuted
Yeah.
because we only get what's brought
What is.
before us. I can tell you that I don't know what Crystal told you the last meeting, so I don't want to repeat
it
what
was
you've
all
already heard.
just updates and bailiff information and
Okay.
kind of what she was overseeing. It's only 15 minutes, so it was pretty.
Well, I'm sure you know our unlawful detainers are up. We had the highest we've ever had last year in Grant County, and 8 other counties had.
What is an unlawful detainer?
An unlawful
You
detain,
haven't had to do one of those yet?
Detaining somebody longer than they're supposed to?
what?
No.
I have a
that
feeling,
the resident?
Commissioner from
Okay.
District 1 could tell us what an
It sounds
unlawful
like he knows
detainer
what it
is.
I'm like,
If you want to educate your other two commissioners.
Well, I don't know if I've ever
Unlawfully
heard of the
detained.
official name.
Well, I'll tell you, if you've never had to do an unlawful detainer, you're lucky.
I don't
Correct.
think we have, so I don't know what it is.
Okay. So let's test our commissioner. Commissioner, how would an unlawful detainer end up in front of me in court?
Probably has something to do with real estate.
How would an unlawful detainer end up in front of me?
I have an assumption of what this is.
Okay.
It would be when the tenant doesn't pay their rent.
Yeah, I'm going through two right now.
Eviction.
See you soon.
It's a legal court process that allows landlords to remove a tenant from a rental property.
I think someone's cheating and looking on her
I am
computer.
looking, yes, that's what I do all day long.
Yes.
So I-
Google.
What is this acronym? mean?
Yeah,
What is
so ours are up, higher than they've ever been. So, statewide, the, legislature has a bill to, authorize a, basically a commissioner that would specifically do unlawful detainer, so it would be a statutory commissioner instead of a constitutional commissioner. And it hasn't passed yet, but I think we're probably going to be seeing that. Of course, in our county, we're not to the point where we would need to have a full-time statutory commissioner just for these, but a lot of it is just the bigger counties with the volume that's just skyrocketed. So with that, we will probably have the authority to have a statutory commissioner in the near future for the unlawful detainers.
That's from the unintended consequences that they did from COVID. A lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of litigation now, and so we're just seeing more and more. And with that, I think that they wanted to have a fix to be able to address these. I mean, we're addressing things in a lot quicker manner than, in my opinion, a lot of other counties are. I mean, some of them are taking forever, and we're able to handle our volume right now. But yeah, so that's one other thing. And then for, I'm trying to think of, we have our criminal cases, and then I don't know our numbers. Crystal's better at knowing all that. She does it all. We just get told where to go and when to do it. It seems like it's ever changing. So, any other questions?
Are you seeing most of your unlawful detainers are just residential, single family,
Yeah.
or apartments?
Mostly single family. Mhm. And then, yeah. And it moves pretty quickly, though. It's not been too bad, because those all go on our civil docket on Fridays. So
How many attorneys do you have currently doing those?
we have one main for the tenants. We have one main attorney that I think handles the majority of them, and there might be one other one out of Wenatchee. So she does that. And then, yeah, I would say, handles way majority, probably 80% or so.
And the tenants are represented at no cost?
Yes, under the statute, they're represented depending on they have to qualify. So it's not like every tenant gets it. So per the statute, they can qualify to have an attorney appointed, and that attorney comes out of Wenatchee. So.
Hello, auditor's office?
The auditors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking for licensing? It'll be the next floor, so if you can take the elevator right here.
Okay, thank you. Downstairs.
No.
No, go upstairs,
So
one floor.
take the elevator, the stairs, and then go up one flight of stairs, and it'll be over in this building. It's hard, you can't find the elevator down there.
Yeah, it is hidden. So that's, yeah. And we're scheduled to have a criminal jury trial on Wednesday. And then we're just doing our normal calendars this week. anything that has to do with budget, administration, anything like that, you're gonna have to wait for Crystal.
I'm on the jury for the 12th.
You have jury duty
Jury.
of this?
Oh, well,
Like in a couple
you
days,
might,
the 12? Like in 2 more days?
you might end up having to go, and don't try to get out of it, because I'll tell you what, Ms. Henson will make sure you get there.
I'd have to change a few of my appointments.
Sometimes you never know. They might settle.
You never know.
Dang, wow.
Yep. Any other questions?
Lots of
maybe
them
you'll see
about
Kevin this week.
Washington State and unlawful detainer. I didn't know that was the official word. So far, I've paid people to leave because I'd rather pay you to leave than pay a lawyer. But I've been unsuccessful with one. Housing Authority bailed them out for a while. But now I get to pay the lawyer and come visit with you guys, I guess. So I will know the name and exactly how it works in probably, hopefully not too long.
Hopefully it won't be frustrating for you.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be
In
on a
our
Friday.
update, I'll let you know.
Okay. Sounds good.
Last
Yep.
year I had the pleasure of doing a ejectment at a house. That was interesting.
Yep, we don't see those as often, but
I've never even heard of it. And I don't ever want to do another one, I'll tell you that right now.
yeah.
What is it?
It's where the tenant claims to be an owner and provides false documentation and comes to court and fights the whole thing.
So it's just a different kind
Let's
of,
put that energy into some work.
it's just a different cause of action that we see. And that would be on our civil
That's right. I
docket.
forgot. I don't own it.
I manage it for Mr.
I'm
Percy.
just a renter.
It was a weird deal, because I knew the owner. Not fun. About 7 months of time, $7,000.
That's the unfortunate part that I see for landlords and property owners is do the eviction, you're like $3,000 plus the back rent they didn't pay, plus often the unit is trashed when they leave, so you're $9,000 to $12,000 just to get the unit back to rentable. That's best case. Kind of crazy.
Part of the game.
That's a small unit. It's not a big one. Part of the game.
I know.
Makes
Well,
me not want to pay my mortgage. You know what I mean?
that would, might come in front of us, might not. Might recuse myself on
I'm
that one.
just kidding.
So,
A little insider information.
yeah, so, yeah, other than that,
Tenants are often, they're just very knowledgeable. It takes a long time to learn as much as they've read in their time, but yeah. I got nothing else for you.
nothing else? Anything else? Sorry, Ms. Burns can tell you a lot more than I
I
can.
know. We have an expert here on it.
I mean,
What did I
you
do?
are
Unlawful
also a
detainer.
pretty expert, I'm guessing, on unlawful detainers. Being a judge, and I'm pretty sure you have some rentals, so
I,
I'm sure you haven't been just perfect.
I
through them all.
try to make sure that I'm updated with all the RCWs and all of the rules, and
There's so many more new ones this year that it's just like, holy cow, you want everyone to just sell their stuff and buy in other states?
You're seeing a lot of that.
I mean, yeah.
we get our updates, so, or just with, the law changes, we get just updates on that, so, we just address them and keep going, so. But, yeah, other than that, we're staying busy, and, Crystal does all the other ins and outs and keeps us functioning, and we go and do what we need to. So,
Well, thank you for coming. We
well, thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me. If there's anything specific you want to address next time, just let Ms. Burns know.
All right.
So, all right, you guys have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget that's on Friday.
We're going to recess until 3:15 when we're back with district court. Good afternoon. It is 3:15 and we are here for district court update. Mr. Hartman, where's your?
I'm here to support district court, but I don't see district court present.
Okay. Well, we will just wait for them. Here they come. Good afternoon.
Hi.
My back hurts.
Looks like.
Your back hurts?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I blew it out watching the Super Bowl, I guess.
Seat at the table.
Were you out trying to play football?
It's his fault we're late. He's moving slow.
I didn't even play in the game, and I've hurt my back.
Probably just reenacting what they should have been doing.
No, it wasn't even that. I think mainly it's because I sat on a cooler most of the night.
Oh,
So
perfect.
there wasn't enough seats for everybody, so.
So you sat on a cooler?
The
So they didn't
TV was kind of like over there, so it's kind of like this little.
From the bench to the cooler. You're a man of the people.
Yeah.
5 minutes?
So.
We are live, we're ready,
Okay.
and you are.
Can we start with 5 minutes of executive session to discuss an employee?
Dan. Caitlin, I need executive session forms. I am out.
Okay, 1 second.
I don't remember the RCW. I'm out. I was gonna get more when I went upstairs and I forgot.
Not my particular office. I keep my office pretty warm.
You can probably just like.
I
fill it out
run
when-
cold all the time.
My fan at my desk died today. Because I can tolerate it, usually, it's usually warm in my office, but.
Yeah.
I just watched it and went, yeah.
Everyone always comes in.
I
like,
picture
"What's
you
so warm in
having,
here?"
you know, yep, perfect. Bring it in. Yep. I haven't announced yet.
Oh, the sign was on the door and I got really scared.
Oh,
There's no more.
I was just helping out.
Oh, well, you're freaking out.
5 minutes?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, 5 minutes is great.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session beginning at 3:18 PM, returning at 3:25 PM for disciplinary or evaluation.
Evaluation?
Okay,
Evaluation.
job applicant / evaluation,
Yes.
RCW 42.30.1101G. We are out of executive session at 3:23 PM.
Okay, so, is this something that can be made a decision at these meetings, or is that something that, how does,
It would just come to HR to.
HR would bring it to
Okay.
us.
so you'll take care of
tomorrow
that?
meeting,
Okay.
Possibly, or next week.
Perfect. Okay, so you might as well stay for our next thing. Darn
Darn it, you were not free to go.
You don't get to leave.
I thought Judge was gonna get up and leave. I'm like,
Well, so, no, he's not allowed to leave either. We have a request, and I talked it through with Jonathan on Friday. And I want to propose it to you, to see if there's anything that we can do without having to go through, so many hoops. Ultimately, we are short-staffed. We've been short-staffed. We're kind of in like this critical survival mode. We interviewed. We have 2 positions open. We interviewed 3. We'd like to offer to all 3. I have an employee who went out as of today on kind of a long-term couple-month leave. So I can't fill her position, but I also have an employee returning to school mid-March. And so we're asking to be able to hire the 3 and get them going. We wouldn't be starting that 3rd one that would be kind of an overlap until the very end of this month. So we're talking an overlap of somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks with the employee that I know that's leaving. But we also have, like I said, an employee who's out on a long-term leave. I know it's nothing we've ever asked to do before. I talked to Jonathan, and it kind of sounds like we'd have to go through the whole PMRT process. Our experience with the PMRT process is that it can be long.
by the time we get through that, we may be in that mid-March already. So I'm just asking you guys if there's anything else we can do to avoid that, or if I just need to offer the 2 and then, you know, let the 3rd know that we'll have an opening in a few weeks. We don't want to lose any of the 3 that we are willing to offer to.
Position review is now the board on Mondays, 1 p.m.
Okay.
It's all of it. It's not just me anymore because what you just said, it
Right.
slows it down. It really doesn't. If the ask didn't have enough information to back and it wasn't budgeted or it had something abnormal for payroll, that was what slowed it down. There was no decisions were made in PMRT. And that's why I wanted it in position review for the whole board. And then now when you do a request, you'll have a presentation, basically. Everyone will do the same. But I mean, I can't speak for all 3 of us, but it would be hard to not do what we would request from everyone.
Okay.
On the position.
Because we're not asking for an additional, like, we're not asking to add a position to the budget. I have money in the budget to pay for it. I'm just asking for a small overlap. But if that's what we need to do, then that's what we do. We figured it was worth the ask, though.
I don't know if it needs to go to that, but it would definitely need to be discussed through HR to make sure we're consistent.
Biggest issue is just being able to get them trained, at least. We can't train them all. We don't have the manpower to train all 3. We're gonna need all 3, but we wanna kind of space them out and then hold on to that person, but it will create at least a little bit of an overlap with one of them, right?
Yeah, just with one.
So that way you can train.
Yeah.
Before that person leaves, they're able to train.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why you want the overlap.
Yeah.
And we have 17 clerks, but I reviewed this with Jonathan. I printed out our phone list. Like 6 of those are on probationary status. And then we have, you know, the 2 leads. I have 1 out on extended leave. It leaves us with 3 clerks that can train, and 2 of those are in court. So, I mean, we're really.
We have done transitions like that.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But.
Just went through ER or HR.
Well, and I did, and he's who told me to go through PMRT. So that's why I'm asking if you're going to require that or if we can bypass
Usually
it.
it's something, if you just like an update year, like we just want to hold on to an employee for a little bit longer to train, because there really is a wealth of knowledge to have the training complete, and your clerks will be up and running instead of floundering and making errors, and this is where we get ourselves in trouble because we just lack of training. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a great idea.
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I would just want to stay consistent because not being consistent creates way more issues than you being short for one
Yeah,
person.
with 3 individuals that you need to train.
We can't do them all at once, that's the problem.
Yeah, but we can do 2 and 1 or 1 and 2, but we definitely can't do all 3 at a time.
No, that takes a lot of manpower to train somebody.
And if we don't stay on top of it, we're gonna be like
You're
someone.
gonna be training more than 3.
Or someone who's training is gonna have to be in the courtroom, because we're at that kind of level.
Yeah. Not a fun place to be.
You guys have a lot going on there.
Yeah.
A lot of different duties to rotate through.
But, okay. I'll work with Jonathan on that then. We're kind of out of time. Do you guys have anything for us?
No, keep up the good work.
How's
about you?
everything else going? Other than that?
I think you guys are busy.
Good.
I've seen your clientele coming through looking for.
We are busy.
It's been busy, it's been unusual.
Yeah.
So we're filing a lot of cases, but they're also dismissing some too that are not as serious based on the caseload levels. So.
Hi.
You guys have an update on the security thing? Did you get anyone about this? I think the one question was the sheriff.
We're waiting on the sheriff to respond still, I'm assuming?
Yeah, but we'll have facilities update tomorrow. We can talk about that again.
Okay.
It's
Sounds
on
good.
my list of stuff.
Perfect.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
What's that?
You're all over Facebook.
curious, but.
Yeah, I've seen you a whole bunch of times.
Why?
Down on the mat or?
Oh gosh, you're like a celebrity, Brett.
Yeah.
You're still wrestling.
That's me.
I went through a couple different days, he's laying on the floor with kids. So.
Yeah. It's because I can't get up.
We'll see you guys.
Yeah. It is 3:31 p.m. and we are here for a public defense update.
It sounded to me like Judge Gwynn was telling you about my problems, too many cases, but,
Yeah, we were just talking about his courtroom he's got a lot of new clientele coming because they're wandering around looking for the courtroom, so.
oh, yeah,
But he doesn't have issues hiring clerks.
right.
Strange.
Yeah. So, yeah, the only thing with regard to that is, I did, one of our issues, I'll talk to Kevin about it this week, but, Kevin McCrae about it this week. Seems to be, they're doing a lot more driving suspended third degrees and driving without a license. There for a while, they were doing a letter telling them to get their license and they'd never file it. And so some of those are eating up our caseloads that are just such minor charges. And it just happens to be exactly the same number of how much we're over right now. So, but anyway, so that's something I can address with Mr. McCrae and see what he thinks about that, but what he wants to do there. But other than that, hopefully today you saw I'm asking for a new copier.
I saw that tomorrow.
It was in our budget, but anyway, yeah, we're well over 1 million copies on that copier.
It's been good to you.
It has been a pretty good copier, and but yeah, so yeah, the Kelly people tell us that they're probably next year they probably wouldn't offer us another service contract on it because
Not gonna fix it anymore?
yeah, because it's been breaking down quite a bit. Luckily we have it's a black and white one, but we have another fairly high capacity printer, so we've got two of them. But, so we always have a backup, but yeah, that's about the only update, I guess.
So the lawyer situation is to where you're having to choose.
Well, I don't.
Well, he does.
We are over right now, but there's a good portion of that has to do with in December we lost 2 attorneys, and we've got some contractors, and so there was some reassignments. So some of our overage were existing cases because we have to give credit to the lawyer who has the case, but somebody else had that case before, so I guess it's double credit, but. So that's one of our problems is that some of the older cases that we inherited got credited in this calendar year. And of course that will at some point sort of flow out, as we go on. So not that concerned about it at this point, but we need to be, Kevin and I think I'll talk to Kevin and see on some of those cases, and some of the ones I think Judge Gwynn said they were dismissing some, and it's those types of cases that they dismiss. And if we can get those before our caseloads talk about going through the first pretrial hearing, that we can take the credit back. We don't credit the lawyer for those if they don't go through a pretrial sort of a hearing. So the timing is something that we can help control our caseloads with if we can kind of get down to that and that sort of thing. But that's the prosecutor's decision. We're reactive to that. But if we're careful, if we're careful that everybody's aware of what's happening, then they can make the decisions on the ones that they think they can do and deal with. But part of the issue is the prosecutor's office is short of attorneys too. They don't have attorneys. Who's going to look at that? Who's going to be the person that says, yeah, these, we're going to do these. Somebody's got to take the time to do them, and they don't have time either. So, But I did, I don't know if I don't recall if I talked to you last week about this, but we do have, you know, that legislation that was the rural, OPD has some money to do rural interns, you know, law school interns. I can't remember what they call the project, but the people that are that the Office of Public Defense hired to do that have, you know, I've been in contact with them, and it sounds like maybe they can get us an intern or two during the summer. You know, and the hope is that they like working here, and so, you know, maybe, I mean, that's a whole another year and a half down the road, but maybe they'll want to come to work here. So, you know, there's some stuff happening. Other than that, I haven't really been doing much recruiting, but I've had no sniffs with advertising, you know. But on the Washington Defender website, everybody's advertising, so I mean, I think everybody's in our same spot. And still no word from on the caseload limit recommendations from the Supreme Court. So, anyway, I'm here to answer any questions you have. If you have something else to talk about.
It's concerning for me.
You know,
because I got a long time left. 36, 7. It's just like, you know, getting in trouble for me was the best thing that ever happened to me. So now you know, in Grant County, they probably wouldn't have ever gotten in trouble. You know, I wouldn't have gone through the process today that I went through then. And it's hard because it's like, okay, so there's no accountability.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're not prosecuting anything other than maybe some driving suspend, you know, stuff like that.
But you take that, driving suspended, and then they kill someone in an accident while driving. You don't really learn I don't know, it's just tough because you just think of this issue is probably not going to get better.
Well, no, that's the frustrating thing from my position is you look around, there's not lawyers. I mean, you know, there simply isn't a supply, and it's, you know, and it has to do with just the, you know, there's fewer people going to law school, and there's fewer people going to college. Period. I understand. I mean, it's not just law. It's, you know, and of course that has to do with the population. You know, I mean, people, however many, I don't know how many years, but they didn't have as large a families. They didn't have, you know, and there just aren't that many kids coming anymore to service the population that we have. And I mean, it's just not there. That's the frustrating thing is that you look at it and you go, I don't know what, I mean.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like it's all fine and dandy to say, hey, let's have caseload limits and not work everybody too hard. But if we don't work too hard, who's going to do it? It's like, yeah, and that's my frustration. I wish I was a couple more years closer to retirement so I could just say, yeah, I don't want to, I don't need to worry about it. But problem is I have far enough to go that I do have to worry about it. And go from there.
Well, I'm glad you get to worry about it.
What's that?
Just become a Supreme Court judge. Aren't you pretty much a
And
judge
just
for
change
that?
it all and just say everybody's going to work. I tell you. I don't know. Yeah, it is frustrating. You know, in the meantime, we grind a little bit and work like we work. But
I don't know.
Here it is.
It's scary because you think younger people are going to want harder work, you know? No.
Well, they're not going down that path right now. I can tell you that right now.
So, and then if they change, it's already going to be what it is.
Well, and this is just anecdotally, just through my career. I mean, you know, as a young lawyer, the whole idea is you always knew you were gonna have a 10 to 15 years of just working and working and working, just working all the time. You know, with the idea that you could cruise later in your career, you know. And I don't know that it's even necessarily the new generation. I think it's the entire attitude, because even, well, like Steve Kozer was one of our lawyers that just retired, and I know he had a similar experience to mine. But he was of the opinion, you know, he just, you know, you don't grind anymore. We just don't, that's not how we do it. We don't work hard. We don't, you know. And society in general, and of course, you probably heard this from other people, but you know, the tough thing in my spot is, how do you motivate? I mean, I know motivation out of fear is not the way to go, but if there's not a little fear that you're working for somebody, you might lose your job if you don't do your job. But how do I fire somebody for not? Yeah, I mean, you know, you know what I mean? And frankly, I think, and I'm talking generally, I'm not talking specific to my office, but you know, generally, you know, if there's not that fear there, what's the motivation to work hard? That frustrates me a lot. Anyway.
Well, and then if they know they can just go somewhere else and not work hard.
Well, because people could choose where they work now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
You have to have.
if somebody from Okanagan said, I'm tired of Okanagan, I want to come to me.
Yeah, you're like, yep.
I'd say, come on.
Yeah.
You know.
But don't you have to have so many billable hours? An attorney, that's when they join a firm, it's like, okay, you have to have so many.
Well, but that's
hours.
changing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. When I was graduating law school, I don't know what the big firms are doing nowadays. You can tell you're a little closer to law school than I am, but I mean, they were wanting 2,200 hours a year, you know, for the associates. And that's billable, that's not hours worked. Are they still doing that? Is that still what you hear?
Sure, let me go ahead and Google that for you, Brett.
Yeah. I mean, that's, of course,
I
that
thought they
means,
had to have billable.
of course, I'm not sure they were all being honest about their billables, but in fact, I'm sure they weren't. But, Kevin. Hey. So, not much. This week we need to get together and talk about our caseload and stuff. I mean, it's not too bad.
It's gonna get worse.
So anyway, but that's where I'm at.
Okay.
So roughly 1,700 to 2,300, so 30 to 40 billable hours per week.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I'm Googling
now.
that, so. I think something had to have 35 hours.
Well, the big
But that was
firms,
a while back.
the big firms are always on the high side. They're all about money, you know.
What are you talking about?
Well, we were just
Billable
talking about
hours, we were just talking about
what attorneys do, billable
The
hours,
youngins.
why, you know, how hard they work, kind of. We're just talking generally. So, yeah, anyway, I'll let you have the prosecutor's office.
Thank you,
If
Brad.
that's all right.
Stay out of social media.
Okay.
Make sure your back's not on the mat when you get a picture.
Sounds good.
Brett's been on social media apparently a lot. He was
Congratulations.
trying to figure out what it was for, and it was
I
for
have no idea.
revenue.
Who was saying that?
The judge, Judge Barlow,
Judge Quinn?
or Gwen, sorry, Gwen.
Maybe I'll go look at social media.
You better go find yourself on there. Make sure
See
you're,
if I look cute.
yeah, you look good.
Yeah.
It's a good angle. Welcome. We have not seen prosecutor's office for a long, long time. And Greg is like, I'm getting tired of these clocks. At least you're getting your stairs steps in. Should be done for the week, for the day.
Yes.
All right, good afternoon. It is 3:45 and we are going into the prosecutor's attorney's office update.
So the good news is you may not have to worry about as much the defense counsel caseloads because I'm not gonna have people to prosecute them.
And we were talking about that.
I just lost another one an hour ago.
Pay,
Huh?
is it pay? They're moving to,
She's going to Kittitas because they're basically cutting her caseloads. So, yeah.
We just talked about this.
Basically now the decision is what don't I charge?
well,
I'm gonna try and be creative. I'm gonna try and maybe see if we can get some remote attorneys who don't live in Grant County. Would be a thought. And have them, do a bunch of the stuff that just keep people here, focused on trials and stuff that we need people here for. But one of my colleagues down in Franklin County, he said he's down to 53% of his attorney allotment, and it's going to go down lower come summer if he doesn't get somebody. We're going to be about 2/3 here shortly. So, yeah.
so what is I mean, we're not the only county.
No.
So do you do like legal secretaries, what do you do?
There's limits. I mean, yeah, I've done some of that, but there's limits to that. Because legal secretaries and stuff can't appear in court. Yeah, thinking outside the box, my next step is going to be to try just what I said is, can we have attorneys that aren't in Grant County do a lot of this work? Well, we already do that on the civil side where we have all of our insurance attorneys. So can we, with the money we're paying, have prosecutors from out of the county do a lot of the work? It's my next idea. But what we're doing isn't sustainable.
Well, do they need to be out of county or out of state if they have?
Well, they have to have Washington license, but
But some will have different licenses for
Yeah.
like 2 states, Washington, Idaho.
some will. So,
Utah, we seem to have that little area.
but so I'm working with HR to try and get that set up, but I need them to push it now faster. So yeah, that's been a fun day. But yeah, we are just dying for attorneys, and when somebody leaves, that means somebody picks up more, and then they get upset, and they know we can't keep everybody happy. So
What's our solution?
What Kevin just said.
that's the best one I can come up with right now. Is to try to see if I can get people from out of county to do, some of the work, take some of the load off people who are physically here.
Well, speaking of
Hey.
HR right now,
Thank
we were
you
just
so
talking about
much.
HR, Decorah. The prosecutor's office just had another attorney within that last hour.
So I need help getting see if we can try and hire remote attorneys. Talk with Gina a little bit about that. I need to push that faster.
He walked in the room just.
Yeah,
at the
good
right
timing.
time.
My ears are burning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're like, Decorah just felt this.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Just draw out the room. Got it. Thank you.
and I
Do you
just got
think-
two, but that's
Sorry
just.
about the loss.
This one has confidential, so I haven't.
You can, I just got me, the judges, me, a couple of judges.
You're having a great day.
Yeah,
Maybe
Stephen
you should go
Kozier.
home right now.
This is just silly enough to be entertaining, but
Is it
So-
from our friend?
What,
it's from Elijah Day Fletcher, who's a defendant of mine.
Oh.
This is dumb. I mean, I'm not really worried about it, it's dumb.
oh,
Okay. Yeah,
I'll be entertained later.
yeah, it's, that's
It's a
just
good
dumb.
read.
So do you think money is an additional
Just a little
possibility?
bit, but, I mean, we're gonna just keep escalating the money, and it's not proving to be all that effective with other counties. We're keeping up with other counties, we're not going ahead of them, but I don't know that money in the amount that's realistic is gonna help, unless we wanna go to $200,000-$300,000 a year, $300,000 a year for attorneys. That'd be good, that'd probably work, but I don't know how that'll do with the budget.
It's more the caseload.
I think you're just gonna have to look at the cases right now and just see what
Yeah, I mean, the fact
Make
that we're
that
gonna have
call.
to stop prosecuting certain cases. We don't have attorneys to do it.
Well, fingers crossed that we can get some online or
Yeah, but maybe.
out of county,
I'll try that.
remote, that sounds
Yeah,
better than
remote.
online, some online attorneys.
So we'll try that. If somebody's got a better idea, I'm happy to listen. I'm trying to go outside the box here.
What is entry level attorney that goes to a private law firm? What are they starting at? I mean, obviously it probably varies by
varies a lot.
schools and all that.
I mean, you're talking, I haven't looked in a while. You're talking, the New York high-end ones will probably be a little over 200,000, but they can all go down to 50,000 or even less. So it varies a lot.
And where does your entry start at?
100.
How many lawyers graduate in Washington State a year?
That's the big problem.
Yeah, that's what
We're not graduating enough attorneys. It's not just a Washington problem, it's a nationwide problem.
We had a lot at one time and then
Yeah, now we can't.
we had like too many and now we don't have enough.
Yeah.
Gotta love the,
Good
The
time to be an
economy.
attorney.
if you can handle the workload, yeah.
That's what Brett was saying, is that just the younger, there's no grind.
Well, Washington State law no longer requires passage of bar exam to practice law.
Yeah, that's
it's-
coming in the future, and you still gotta do quite a bit.
Okay.
It's not like
Yeah.
you're just.
So there's something else in lieu of
Yeah, there's stuff in lieu of, and you still gotta either graduate from law school or go through a 4-year
the
apprenticeship
juris
program.
JD degree. Okay, is that what,
What's that?
is it the Juris Doctor degree?
Yeah, JD degree is what you get coming out of law
Um,
school.
Lee Pence, is that what Lee Pence did?
No,
Or maybe he didn't go to
No.
school, but don't you still have to take that?
no, well, you have to take the bar. There's something called the Rule 6,
Okay.
where you basically do an apprenticeship for 4 years.
Trying to figure out.
And we have one of those.
I better just
We
start
had 2 of
Googling
those.
here.
But that's a program that takes a lot of time from both the mentoring attorney and the person who wants to do it, and they have trouble passing the bar.
High level of failure, especially on the first,
Yeah.
first round, yeah.
All right, well, I hope
The other topics we need to
your day
discuss?
gets way better.
When you say you're going to start choosing what you're prosecuting, where will that be? Will you let us know? Because if it, depending on what it is, obviously the public comment will come to us.
Yeah. I mean, there's kind of 2 schools of thought about that. Letting everybody know
Well, yeah.
it's good to face the public and tell them what's going on, but letting everybody also knows you're gonna get a lock if you go do this crime.
No,
And-
it's both, yeah.
And so there's kind of that back and forth.
It's just that, when somebody will call and complain about something that I don't even know is going on,
Right.
I'm like, well, you sound more informed than I am. So just kind of knowing what's coming, I guess, as a board.
Mhm. I'll probably try to do it in district court first. I know, like, Benton County had basically stopped prosecuting felony property crimes because of this problem. Well, I'm not sure if it's prosecutors or public defenders, but we got to cut somewhere. It's just there's no possible way to keep going. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'll try to try my remote idea out. I don't know if it'll work or not, but it's worth a shot.
In 2024, the average salary for a lawyer was $50,979. So we do pay better than.
Was that Washington or nationwide?
Nationwide. We're double that.
But we're looking at Washington lawyers.
Yeah. So I mean, we pay competitive with other counties, there's no question about that, but people don't want to come here.
They just don't know how great it is.
Yep.
I think it takes a special person. A lot of people just are not comfortable with how rural it is. Especially a lot of the people coming out of law school, they want to
Law
be,
schools are in big cities, so.
they want to be closer to fun things. So
So in Washington State, the average is 163,000. The 50,000, I think, was just for new attorneys coming out.
So a big issue has been Grant County is farther away from access to a lot of things. So that's been a big issue. School district, you name it.
Yeah, we lost one because of the school district.
And we can't pass a levy.
Well, and then
Guess we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
on another one, it says 90 to 110,000 for average salary for lawyer jobs in Perth ranges, whatever that means.
Yeah, so there's a variety of reasons. So, yeah.
Fingers crossed, something changes.
That's right. Okay. Anything else?
What do you do?
Yeah.
And it was very nice seeing you throughout the day.
Yeah.
It definitely has been a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, enjoy your evening.
Well, that concludes our meetings today, so we are going to adjourn for the day at 3:57 p.m.